All right, all right, all right. Let's get this party started. Let's see here. Get this camera started. There we go. Should be a little clearer. Like I said, it's on autofocus, but for some reason, well, not for some reason, you put something in front of it, obviously it's gonna kind of mess with it. What's going on, ladies and gents? A whole bunch of you in there this evening. Always appreciate you guys know that. Nathan Bond's in there. Renee, good to see you in there as always. You said always first, and pretty much are. Doughboy UK, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Digger, what's happening? Bush Corey's in the house. John Beck. Oh, yeah, this is awesome. Photography, Light and Magic. Guys always in there. Like, boom. Make sure we're good here. Testing one. Testing one. Okay. Of course, you always have that little bit of a lag from boom, from there to there to there. All that good stuff. You know how that is. It is live. Xbox rocks. Oh, yeah. Indrid Cole, good evening from Cold Dark, Scotland. What's going on? Hope you're keeping warm. Doodles, what's going on? He's standing by. Morgan Fagan, greetings from Alaska. I hope you're keeping warm. Now that could be. Don't worry, I like that. Who's been refreshing YouTube for the last 10 minutes? And here's the weird thing. I don't know if anybody had actually caught on to the time change here because we changed over last night, wee hours of the morning. So, we went back, fell behind 1 hour. I'm doing fine there, Digger. Good to see you in there. Hope you're doing well. Hi from Germany, 11 p.m. Well, that's a little late for you, but not too bad there, Natural Spirit. It is the man, well, actually the man before the curtain. Mort Piat, you said, yeah, I can hear you, but you can't see me. You may want to refresh that. And I'm on there live. I got my other computer there. It's actually watching the feed as I talk. And, of course, as you guys are commenting. Oh, let's see. Mr. Gossima, what's going on? Good to hear you. Good to hear and see you. Okay, good. Mauricio Rocha, good evening from Brazil. What's happening? Good to see you in there. Jason McVeigh, good evening to you. Good to see you in there. Krausa 4123. Hi, Chris. Good evening, sir, from Dock and Damp, Manchester, UK. Yeah, for some reason, you guys are having that kind of weather, right? It's all kind of like, isn't it like a damp spell you guys get? Kind of crazy where it's like cold, damp, crappy. We get the same thing. It's a change of the season. It sucks. MC Gamer says, hey, Chris and the community. Great last video on the moon, mate. Well, I appreciate that. Crazy, crazy stuff in that stuff. Man, there's photo is like boom. Now, there was a small piece of it where they were showing that one crater. It just shows that real large pad, I call them, and it had like those two other objects right next to it. And it kind of looked like it was kind of like a cave type thing. I said, it looks like it goes under the lunar surface. Now, whether it does or doesn't, there's no way to tell, right? It'd be one thing if you had a video of something flying in and out, then you say, well, clearly it's an entrance or exit, depending on how you want to look at it. And not the case. So, but there's also that other round object that was almost tucked up under there. Crazy stuff, man. Just that. I mean, how anybody can deny that stuff is beyond me. It's almost like they're just being willfully ignorant and just don't want to see it. It's like, whatever. And just, the guy's delusional. But yet they're not opening up their eyes. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy to, the irony is just like, it's just crazy. So I hope everybody did see that last moon video. It's on the lunar anomalies and beyond. If you haven't, check it out. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is like it's just like in your face. I mean, there's no denying it, right? I mean, there's only one conclusion you can come up to because the way these things are like on these pads, like that one showed this big dock area, like some kind of weird structure or something, and then there was two squares, and then there was a triangular piece right next to it. If it was one big rock, you'd go, okay, clearly it's just one kind of big rock, but that's not the case at all. It's like these things have a purpose; they're there for a reason, right? So yeah. All right, Mort, you got me in there now. Sweet. I think we just have to do refresh it. Some people go through that. Just like for some reason it doesn't like click right away, and then just refresh it. You're good. Solomon Kiago and Jambo from Kenya. Well, if you're away from Kenya, man, that's good distance away. Good to see you in there. Alien Tenor, put your pants back up. Say, hey, Chris, pants down and in the house. Oh, that could be bad. Yeah, absolutely, Philip Wethington. Yeah. Hey, Chris, we got an hour more sleep. It doesn't feel like it. Have you been seeing any meters flying through the air and sky? No, to be truthful, I haven't been looking up. I've been really busy. I don't know about you guys, but man, it's like you can work your butt off all week long. Man, great. The weekend's here. And of course, I work Saturdays as well. I work till around noonish. And it's funny because, you get out of there and you're like, okay, I got all kinds of things to do. Before you know, you go, my God, it's like 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. Then boom, next day comes. Well, at least I got the whole day. And yeah, it's pretty much pissed away. You know what I mean? You just do a few things and you're like, oh my God, it's already 5 o'clock. I think it was like 4 o'clock. I was actually helping my daughter move into her new apartment and getting her all straightened out and everything else. I look at her, oh my God, it's like 10 minutes past 4. It's like, man, I got to get home. I got to do this live feed. Got to do it. Love it. Man, this thing just jumped up on me. Hate when that does that. Robert Wallace, love your last video, Chris. Somebody did or is now living up there on the moon. Well, I mean, I don't know if there actually is, right? Is it possible? Absolutely. Are there? It just seems weird that they would allow our military to go up there, no military or any kind of craft, to go up there and say, "Hey, let me just sniff around." I don't think I'd have. You guys are fine. Go ahead and do what you got to do. Somehow I don't know about that unless they're going to the areas where like some of the stuff that we see on the surface, like what looks like dilapidated kind of crafts laying on their sides, structures, whatever, meaning nothing's being occupied in that area. Maybe they're allowing them to do that. Is that a possibility, right? I don't know. Uh, Michelle Lovelet, it says, hi, have you ever had any ghost activities or ghost experiences? I can't say that I have in a strict sense, but I had this weird thing where I'm a geek where I love electronics, right? And years ago, when I was like 12 years old, my grandfather had passed on. And what I did was I had this old speaker. The thing was like a 12-inch speaker, and it looked like it was one of those suitcase kind of things. And it was made for like a stage and stuff like that. So what I do is I took this thing, stuck it outside my door, closed the door, and then I had it hooked up to like an amplifier, where it's like a giant electronic air, right? And nobody in the house. And we lived on the second floor. There was nobody on the first floor at the time. Everybody's at work. And you can literally hear it sound like footsteps coming closer and closer to the door. And as it got closer, it stopped. Now, was it just a house creaking? Find it hard to believe. It was just kind of just perfect steps. Anything's possible. But that was the only thing I've ever had. Now, I have had people. I've had a buddy of mine. His house was actually moved, right? Whenever all this bootlegging was going on in the Northeast, everybody's making their own gin, anything you can think of, these all kinds of crazy stuff. They had a house that was over in this park, and they took it and they moved it. And he had weird things going on in that house, man. It's like there was like this brick wall, and it was completely covered. And he said, and it was in his basement. And he's like, man, I'd love to find out what's behind there, because from what I understand, there was all kinds of bootlegging equipment in his basement at one point. I went, really? So we actually took a sledgehammer and knocked out a couple of holes, and you can see equipment back there. But his dad got mad, and of course he didn't want us to see what's in there. And I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe he just felt like we are going to rip the whole darn basement apart. But curiosity would have got the best of me. I would have knocked the whole wall down. But he'd have these weird things going on. He had like this. What the heck did he call that thing? I don't know if it was Louis or Freddie or something like that. He goes, look at this paneling. And on the paneling, it had this weird, like, pointed head, almost like a flame, and it came down and had a face and everything. I said, what about it? I said, it's just paneling. It's just a pattern. He says, no, you don't understand. That wasn't there 2 days ago. I'm like, okay. And I'm always a skeptic on that kind of crap, guys. To be truthful, I am. I've had guys say, oh, I'll bet you $1,000,000 you can't stay in this haunted house. I said, I could do it. Because that's the way I am. I got like nerves of steel. I could walk in there and just go, okay, get a lounge chair. Okay, let's do this. And it doesn't matter. Now, if something completely wild happened that there's no way you can explain it, absolutely. Yeah, you'd be like, okay, give me the way out. I gotta go. See ya. Hannah in Wonderland. Hey, Chris. Greetings from Hull in the UK. Looking forward to tonight's live, hangout, right? Well, good to see you there, Hannah. Hello, Mars Anomalies and Beyond, Renee says. Ufologist Chris Baby is in the extraterrestrial UFO fam house. Woo-hoo. Pump It Up says 8-0, Die Hard 49ers. Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of games on today, isn't there? Some crazy stuff. I appreciate that, Mort. You said it was a great video. Yeah, it's like I said, I mean, you just have to bring out what you can bring out the best you can. And now some people will say, well, I mean, I wish we could see stuff that's super clear. Now, remember that last one was done from telescopes here on Earth. It wasn't from the LRO, which is like some of those photos. And like I explained, you've got these real crystal clear. I mean, some of these things are astronomically just brilliant, right? Where nice clarity. And of course, you can see like spot blurring here and there. But then you see these ones that, like I said, it looks like these. It's like a mashed potato effect, I call it. It's like this, it just doesn't even look right. It's not crisp. It's not clear. It's nothing. I mean, you just go, come on. Clearly that looks like they CGI'd all over everything, because why would you have one swing of the pendulum to the other side, meaning crystal clear, it looks great, you can see mountain ranges, everything looks good, to complete crap and it's mushed over. Something doesn't make sense. I mean, it's all there is to it. Solomon, you said no aliens in Africa. Why? I don't know. Are you sure about that? Anybody taking pictures up there and looking around the skies? I don't know. Doughboy UK, you said new Lunar intro is cool, by the way. It gives the page its own uniqueness. Well, yeah, I mean, I've done that. And of course, I'm going to get rid of the screen you see behind me. It says Mars Anomalies Beyond. And of course, it's only going to be for that channel. So we'll be changing that over as well. Just slowly getting over, you know what I mean? Just moving everything as far as like new intros, stuff like that. Trying to get it all Gucci'd up, and, just so it does have its own stuff going on. I know a couple of you guys said, hey, what's going on? You still got that Mars Anomalies and Beyond, intro. It's like, yeah, that's because I hadn't, made one up for this channel yet. So, I'm glad we got that out. So, and I think you guys approve. A few guys are saying, man, that's awesome. So, I thought it was pretty good. Short and sweet, right to the point, and it looks good. Vanderplaas, love your vids, appreciate it. I'm not sure how to pronounce your first. I don't know if it's Jidge. Forgive me if I'm completely screwing that up. So we'll call you Vanderplaas if you don't mind. Love your vids. Blue Utopia, what's going on? Good to see you in there. I appreciate you there, MC Gamer. You said to have a bear on me, Chris. Great work as always. I appreciate your support as always, MC Gamer. You know that. Yeah, I mean, by the way, I've got somebody said, it was funny because they said, oh, a new video come up. I kind of wish it was Mars. So they're kind of like bummed out, right? Don't worry, I got you covered. I've got 2 more. I'm going to be just like, boom, knocking them out at the beginning of the week. If you notice, guys, I'm trying to do 3 of them now. That's why I said, I hope you guys seen the other moon one, because sometimes I'll do 2 Mars and then 1 moon, or vice versa. So you'll see at least try to get 3 out. And if I can knock out more, I'm going to do more. Just depends on the week, because like I said, man, I'm busy sometimes. I mean, it depends on the hours and what we got to do at work. Sometimes I can get out a little bit earlier, sometimes not so much. So yeah. Studios, Realism, Earth, Mars, and more. How are you doing today? I hope everything's well. He said, hiya, Mr. Chris. Helion Hybrid hanging out. I appreciate you being here. You can hang out all you like. Scotty Duffy, hey, Chris, just hanging out with you for a while with you. Well, appreciate that. Hello from Sweden. Oh, yeah. 12 feet tall. That's pretty tall. I kind of like that. I like that avatar. It's pretty sweet. Nachos in the house. I swear to God, I was the first on the moon video. YouTube effed me over on that one. Oh man, that's funny. Um, well, I might have beaten you because wasn't it that it wasn't the newest one, right? Because I had put on there. I try to put on the description on there, and like I said, I always have the pin post right there at the comment section, top of the comment section, and this way people don't have to go look in a descriptive box in there. It's always right there at the top, and I'll pin it there. So you might have been the second one. I kind of beat you out of it, but got to put the information so everybody can see it. But don't feel bad, Nacho. At least you were there. You were boom right on top of that. So. Photography, light and magic. He said, "Hey Chris, have you checked out the free program called Raw Therapy? Trust me, you really want to check it out. It's not just for raw files. It can be. I've heard about it. I'm going to check into that a little bit more. Definitely, because anything helps, right? Any little tools you can find definitely help." George Fay, you said, I'm sure that you have been asked this before, but do you think we already have a human presence on Mars? That's a great question. I'm not going to say yes or I'm not going to say no. Only because, like I said, back in the day when they found that they can go to the moon, and they had some difficulties, don't get me wrong, and there's a lot of stuff to hurdle, but they were able to do it. And, they had all the Apollo missions, so they pretty much ironed out all of the problems they had. So, like I said, why would they stop there, right? If they can do it, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot more distance, and the chance of survival could be, at least back then anyway, could have been very bad, and not a good, ratio, death to life of ratio. So I'm not sure about that. I think there's a good possibility they could have. Of course, there's no way to vet that. It's just pure speculation. But you know, it's, I don't say no because it could very well be. In fact, I think they have. They had way too many years after the fact. Because a lot of people say, "Well, what happened, man? How come they never went back to the moon?" Well, maybe they concentrated more on Mars at the time. They said, "Okay, we know we can do it. We've been to the moon. We've already picked apart what we needed to pick apart. Took a ton of photos, um, brought back our rocks, and so on and so forth." Right? So they said, "Okay, we're done with that. Let's focus on Mars now." So how do we know? It's hard to tell, right? Mr. Gaze, Gossaway, you said, "I like the Mars vid so much. Just see, it's amazing." Oh, yeah. Definitely cool stuff. Aditya Tata, good to see you in there. You think the government is trying to erase our past or make it blurry because it's connected to possible aliens? Yes, to both. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know. I don't know what the fear is. Let's just say it was us on Mars or on the moon, right? Why even hide that? But I can imagine the implications, and we may not all know all the implications, right? That, knowing that we were there, it's like, well, wait a minute. Weren't we just slowly advancing? That's how we got to the, Apollo mission, so on and so forth. So how do we already go to the moon prior to that? I mean, there's a whole lot of worms. Once you open that can, you just, wow. You know what I mean? It just takes a lot. Um, you know, like I said, you're going to open up a can, right? And to me, it just seems like, I don't know if they're prepared to answer it because how would you? Because you're thinking along the lines. Well, like I said, wow, we built a rocket. Well, now we went to the moon. Well, now we're sending little probes and stuff like that, and rovers and everything else to Mars and all that. This is awesome. Now we're going to be sending more stuff to the moon. Okay, well, wait a minute. Back 5 lifetimes ago in our human lifetimes, we actually went to the moon. Well, how do you explain all that? So now it's like, yeah. Do you think the Earth's past with the ancient gods and stuff is real? We call them gods, but you think they were people of an extraordinary technology? I do. I'll tell you why. Because, like, when you look at, even if they weren't, well, let me do this. If you think about just the Egyptians alone, okay, they talked about their overseers that helped them build the pyramids, statues, whatever, right? Gave them the mathematics and everything else to actually build these. Okay. So who were the overseers? Who were the god? Well, they didn't call them the gods from the sky. They call them overseers, and well, they actually call them gods too. But so you go to these cities of, okay, so you're saying in the sky, who are these people? Like I said, if you listen, just look at the Sanskrits from India. How they talk about like a space wars, or not space wars, but large crafts in the sky having uh, these battles in the sky with these incredible weapons, so on and so. It's just crazy, right? So who are they talking about, and why did they find it so extraordinary that they had to write about it? Think about that. There had to been something to compel them to want to literally etch it in stone, right? So it makes you wonder. I believe they called them gods because, like I said, let's put ourselves way back in the day when all we had was straw huts and whatever else. All of a sudden, you seen something come out of the sky that wasn't a bird. What could it possibly be? Now this thing lands on the ground. You're completely like what? So now these beings come out. I would think they're gods. They're people from heavens. So clearly they're gods to me. So that's exactly what they probably. That's it. Labeled as gods. Scott Duffy said, "Love the moon videos." Oh yeah, well that's why I try to do a balance of both. Gives a flavor to everybody, and some have their faves about Mars, and they'd rather see or the moon. So you get both worlds, right? Rockstop, you said, "Hi Chris, your last moon video was ace. What would be on the minds of Buzz Armstrong and yeah, Buzz alone? You see what happened to him, right? Anyway, I said you said I wonder." When they came across similar objects, any thoughts? Well, like I said, these guys were up there. Now they were supposed to go to a certain area. Of course, they overshot it. They had to do it manually, and they finally set down. So, from what I understand, it was like a mile from where they were supposed to be. Right. So they set down. Okay, boom. So they didn't land on anything per se, although it looked like if some of these photos looked like there's junk laying all over the ground. I mean, it just looked like around the lander itself, right? So yeah, I mean, to me, yeah, as well as I do, when these guys came back, like I said, they were freaked out, right? We all know that story. And for them guys to come back like that, what the hell would freak people out like that? Because, like I said, this is the reason why when people say the moon videos or the videos that we see, right? Anything Apollo, they're fake, and that could very well be. Because how do you go from, gee, these guys are having a great time on the moon, just be bopping along with the lunar rover and the buggy and having a great old time and, just having a go. You can hear them laughing it up, joking, and having just a great old time. Wait a minute. If that's true, then why did they came back and why did they come back like they were totally distraught? It makes no sense. So were these actually made in a studio like everybody thinks because it's everything they believe everything's fake? I don't think that's the case. That might have been faked, but them actually going there was not. There's no reason in the world why they should have been. Oh yeah, we're going to the moon. They're waving at everybody. Oh, we're gonna have a great old time. And then all of a sudden they come back and they're like, oh my god, kill me. They're just like, oh my god. They just didn't want to be there. Period. So how the hell do you go from one extreme to another? And as far as emotions, it simply makes no sense. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. And anybody should question that. That's why I'm really surprised they didn't. I know many people have questioned him. Of course, they can't say anything, so they kind of, yeah, we. I remember that was when they were talking about these stars. Remember that they were like, so did you guys see stars? I don't know. They're looking at each other like, and basically they were saying we were too busy to see the stars. But if the moon in fact is very reflective, you're not going to see stars. It's kind of like daylight here, right? You're on Earth, it's day, you're not going to see any stars. Common sense. But when everything kind of drops down and you're in an area that has very little light pollution, meaning street lights and factories, and then you can see these things clear as a bell, man. These things, the stars are just out and just that's it. So yeah. Let's see. John Beck says, hit that like button, please. Bam, slam it. Hammer down. Alien Tenno, you said they are not gods. They are advanced aliens. That's all. And that's exactly what I think. I think they were, like I said, but back then, how would you would have looked at them? As a god. I would have. I would have went, oh my, I just would have bowed. I mean, because again, they're coming out of the skies. Now, if they just walked across the ground, the desert, and came out of nowhere, they'd be like, okay, who are these stragglers? But they didn't. If they came down in these crafts or anything like that, yeah, there's no doubt about it. They're going to immediately call them gods. I would. Odds and crafts, yes, you made it. Woo! Good to see you. And I think you missed it last time. When didn't you get in there late and you're kind of bummed out about that, I think? Yeah, you made it. You said, sorry I'm late. Well, as long as you got a scoop and a hallway pass, you're all right. Eagle One, you said great video, great vid, Chris. Lots of structures. Yeah, the stuff's. I mean, again, we don't know how close that craft was. Right? They could be literally 2 miles off the surface. 2 miles doesn't sound like a lot, but it's quite a bit. I sure in hell wouldn't want to fall at an airplane at that height. So maybe 5, 8 miles. Okay, so it's not really super high. So these things will look quite large because you're so close to the ground. Now, if you were to pull way away from that area, well, there's a good chance you're not going to see any of those structures because you're not, close enough to see them all. At least all the individuality ones, you're not going to see them. Now, the closer you get, obviously, the more and more. Let's say the larger ones you see, well, get closer, and you see a whole bunch more in between there. And that's what I was trying to show. Get as close as I could without turning into a giant pixel, which we don't want to do that. We want to try to get as best we can. I mean, it's not always clear. I get that, but it's still you're trying to get out as much as you can, right? You're trying to convey it to you guys so everybody can see it. So the clearer the better, obviously. It's not always the case. We try, but it's not always the case. Try to sharpen it a bit. Rachel Anderson says, good to see you in there, Rachel, by the way. You guys need to watch the third phase of the moon, Alien Bodies. Was that the recent one, or is that the one they had a while back where it showed was it the little people, Rachel, or was it the larger one? Because they had seemed to me it had a few of them, two or three of them, the bodies there. Not sure if that was a more recent one or early one. Renee, you said this time of year there's a lot of meteor showers. I love it when a meteor strikes across the sky in a straight line with different multiple colors. It looks like a UFO. Oh yeah, I mean, I remember seeing some of these showers just lay there and you go, I don't see anything. All of a sudden, you just see them in the sky, man, just buzzing right by. That's neat to see. It was the newest one. Nigel says, okay. Eric Bauer, what's going on? Good to see you in there, Eric. Nathan Bond, do you think that the live feeds of the space station are faked? No, I do not. I've got a video that I had done a while back. Trying to remember exactly what it was called. Basically, I said, is the space station where they say it is? And that might have been the title or pretty close to it. And what I do is I took the software because somebody said, because you could track it. Just put ISS tracker on Google, right? And it'll show you almost like an animated map. And what you'll see is you'll see the actual ISS and it shows it moving in the pattern like it's supposed to around the globe, right? So when I did that, I also had the live feed of the ISS as well. So we had that animation and we had the live feed. And I said, well, guys, here it comes. And you can see it actually, it's getting closer. And I think it was right in Central America, I believe it was. It was just coming onto the land. You can see the animation coming closer and closer. I say, all right, guys, we're over the ocean right now. You can see that. And then you get the camera showing down on Earth. And all of a sudden you can see, I said, it should be coming now. And then you can see it. You can see the land actually show up. So the animation was both correct. And so was the IS live feed. That's how you can tell they're both jiving together. And it's not just, you might go, well, that's NASA. I mean, how do we know that's not fake? No, ESA was doing the same way. You can also go to ESA, European Space Agency, where they'll actually show the same animation as well with the ISS. And of course, they got their own spacecraft. And they'll show that. And I had it from both of them feeds, and they were both spot on, within 3 to 5 seconds. So I said, look, it's getting closer to Central America. It's over the land. Let's see what happens. And boom, there it was. So within 3 to 5 seconds after I said that, it showed up. You can actually see the land. So it's flying over the land at the time. So no, absolutely, it's right on the money. And the reason why I say that too is because how many times have you seen this, Nathan, where you see people saying that, oh, NASA cut the feed. Why? Because they may be looking not just down at Earth, but actually like this, where you're looking over the Earth, and somehow you see something go flying by. All of a sudden, and they'll say, well, changing cameras or technical difficulties or whatever, and they'll switch to something else where you don't see that object anymore. And many people have caught them lying about it. So yeah. Trans 111, you said, love your work, Chris. Keep it up, mate. Love from Liverpool, England. Well, I appreciate that. Big hello to you. Glad to see you in there. Yeah, I would love to do that, Craig. You said, "Hey, Chris, run for president. That way they can get the truth on UFOs and let us all know." Well, the sad thing about that though is that, like, remember that crap where Hillary was saying the same thing? Oh, when I get into office, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna find out about all this. The powers that be are just gonna say, you know what, you don't need to know. We're not telling you jack. So, to me, it just seems like they're never gonna divulge it. The president's a puppet as far as I'm concerned. It's just a PR thing. It's just to make you give you this illusion that you have, power to vote and everything else. I think it's all trash. I think your local politicians, although they could be trash too, but you know what I'm saying? That's more of a real deal because it's local. But, you know, I'm not saying that the president isn't worth anything. I'm just saying that as far as like trying to get any information like top secret and stuff like that, yeah, forget about it. It's never going to happen. I'll be surprised if they actually do that one day and like, oh my God, there it is. I'd be surprised to see that. Paul Macoon, you put on there, hey Chris, love the moon vids. They look like the structures like around Munich Olympic Stadium. Very convincing. Yeah, more than one of you guys said that about. I don't know if it was that other crater that looked like it was open on one side of the wall where you can actually see the different levels. Now I think that's what you guys are saying that it looked like some kind of like stadium type thing. But I saw like multiple levels, right? You can see like almost near the top, and then you can see it coming down, working its way down until you finally get to the bottom of that, where it looked like there's just multi levels. Pretty crazy. Now, what exactly it is, I don't know, but that's the way it looked, right? Arts and Crowd says yes, defo human presence already on Mars, in their opinion. And yeah, I absolutely believe, not absolutely, but I do believe that they are. I mean, I don't think they stopped at the moon. I highly doubt that. And like I said, what's the difference between getting to the moon and Mars other than time? Now, if they perfected a better engine, something much faster, so on, so it wouldn't take 9 months to get there, it would probably down to 3, 4 months. Still it's still a time problem because you got to figure a way to, um, unless you put yourself in cryo sleep, there's just no way around it. Unless you can keep yourself extremely busy, for that amount of time. So, yeah, I would imagine it could be difficult. You'd have to exercise, you have to do things, so on and so forth. And yeah, I just don't know how it can, um, you know, let me see. Mm, all right. Alien Tenno, thank you. Appreciate the support, man. He said, Europa Titan anomalies and beyond very soon. Yeah, I'm going to check that out a little bit more. I think I've done one or two on Titan. If not, I know there's a couple of I have done some of the moons. So we're definitely going to check out that a little bit more. So yeah, I seen him, MC Gamer. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I think it's comical. These people come out of nowhere, but just see ya. Yep. It's pretty sad when they got to come from other channels and actually do that to another channel. Isn't that sad? And they've done it all at once, so they're from another channel. That's what's amusing because they don't. It's not just one person. It's like you get multiple people. I think it's hilarious. Yeah, yeah, just a couple shit stains is all. That happens. I think it's actually comical. Which as many as they put on there, the little bots and stuff like that, it's like boom, boom, boom. 10 seconds later, not even that. 5 seconds later, you're all gone, all done. Uh, Let me see. This thing just jumped up on me anyway. That doesn't help. Duck Chuck, Little Chuck, he said, what's up, Bull? What's going on? Good to see you in there. SC's in the house. What's going on, SC? Poor Godden. Hey, Chris, what's going on? Good to see you in there as well. Mike Hoover's in there. Some of you guys didn't even see it. This thing literally jumped. All I got to do is like approve one thing, and the thing just goes right to the end. So, yeah, Noodles, absolutely. Yeah, the Apollo 11 astronauts. Yeah, they absolutely look like they were out of their minds, like totally frightened and scared and everything else. it's for them to react like that. I mean, again, the biggest step known to man, take it, they go to the moon, whatever, and all of a sudden, like I said, how do you go from, gee, we had a great time, and, and if you watch the videos and listen to the audio to it, they're having a great old time. They're cracking jokes, this, that, and the other, having a great old time, and then all of a sudden, boom, they come back. Does that look like the same people who are talking on the moon to then? This is the reason why I believe some of those videos could absolutely be false, could be absolutely staged, because again, it doesn't add up. The two different, well, we're great. We're having a great old time up here, Houston, blah, 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 blah. Capcom, they were talking at the time, this, that, and the other, having a great old time. They come back and, I mean, how does that happen? There's no way that should have happened, you know? Let's see. Yeah, he did, Noodles. Yeah, Buzz talked about a monolith on Phobos. Yeah, and he said, well, when people find out about that, they're gonna be like, where did that come from? Remember that? That's been all over the internet. It's pretty funny, but he's right. You know what I mean? And I think Buzz actually knows a little bit more than he claims. Because if you notice, he went into hiding too for a while, didn't he? And all of a sudden, it's like now he's okay. But now, when you see him now, doesn't he look still a little weird? Because he didn't come back like that, or at least not in a strict sense. Then all of a sudden, I mean, when they had the president talking and he was right behind him. Remember they were talking about going back to the moon. He's like making all these weird facial expressions and everything else. I'm like, what the hell? This doesn't seem like the same guy that was on one of these missions. He seems like he had to go into like drugs and everything else just to keep him sane. And it wouldn't surprise me. Can you imagine the stuff, like some of the stuff we're seeing in these photos? Can you imagine what they saw? Oh my God! Yeah. I just can't understand or wouldn't be able to comprehend what these guys seen. I mean, we're just looking at photos and seeing this stuff. Can you imagine what they saw in person and probably were able to touch or put their hands on? Yeah, we'll have a look at it, Alien. Don't worry about nothing. I know you said 5 years from now, Chris will be a. Well, like I said, the only reason it kind of discourages me from checking these things out is not a whole lot of photos. At least not the ones. If I'm not mistaken, the ones about Titan. Go look at the pictures. And the actual areas that they show that they've actually looked at, they're completely blurred out. Go have a look at them, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, how do you do a video on that at all? It's almost impossible to do. That's why I said that's why you won't see me do a whole lot on it, because there's nothing to actually investigate or research, because they pretty much blurred everything out of it. How do you check it out if you can't see it clearly? That's the way I look at it. But I'm always looking to see if there's anything clear they come out with or any of that. So yeah. Andrew in Wonderland, you said, "Well, will we ever know what they saw?" Sadly, I doubt. Well, I don't know. We're seeing this stuff at least in these photos, right? So we can get a general idea what they saw. And like I said, if they were in an area where, like I said, you had like these dilapidated friggin' crafts and stuff strewn all over the surface, meaning if there is life on there, maybe they weren't in an area that had it. And this is the reason why they felt semi comfortable, although they said there was, oh, yeah, these large crafts are on the crater rim. They're just kind of like, in a position where they're looking at them. So I don't know. Uh, you know, I think they saw something on there and it just freaked them out. That's the best way you can come out with it. I mean, it's the best way you can describe it. Supreme Ruler's in the house. What's going on? Good to see you in there. Yes, Phil, Nacho is in there. Mike Sinclair, I'm sorry. Greeting, Chris. If you have the time, you check out a channel, Litvinov Dimitro. He has some fantastic rover panoramic vids recently listed, in particular Solar Day Sol 2137. It's packed. I have to check it out. See, I'm even going to write that down. Yeah, some of these channels that are coming out, they're actually really, really good. I've actually seen a couple other people that have telescopes doing fantastic work. Really decently clear stuff too. So much to see out there, guys. Yeah, Dusty Lester. Like I said, I'm not sure if I pronounced that last one right, but Russians saw a 30-kilometer long object on Phobos. Well, are you talking about the actual shadow? Remember, they had their Phobos 1 and 2 spacecraft. They were supposed to do flybys and stuff like that. And I think it was the Phobos 2. Phobos 1 just did a flyby, I think, and either malfunctioned, just kept going. Was supposed to actually orbit, I think, the actual moon. But when the last picture they had, it looked like a cigar-shaped UFO, and then they never heard nothing from the craft again. Does that mean aliens? Very good possibility. I mean, when they literally were showing that, and I think it was the Soviet Union at the time, but they were showing it, saying, "Listen, here it is, man. Here's the photo." Now, if it was drummed up and made up, well, then it's not true, obviously. But if it is true, that's something because they said, "Well, we don't need your nose around. We'll just knock that spacecraft out." Shirley Shipman Johnson, thank you for your support. Appreciate you. Um, okay, that's why that one's set on live feed, which is I'm sorry, live chat, which this one is too. But I'm still trying to make sure I get everybody's um, comments here and questions. But I can see you on the other one. That's why I figured a big thank you to you. Hannah, I do. You said watch Graham Hancock on YouTube. He has amazing videos on our ancient planet. Absolutely does. He does phenomenal research too. And when you check into that stuff, I mean, and you can almost put it together, right? Because they talk about all the ancient civilizations and how they talked about their gods in the heavens and so on and so forth. And when you read it, and that's what got me started, to be honest with you. You're looking at all these ancient civilizations and their how they talked about their gods and everything else, and what they have these hieroglyphs and all kinds of just crazy drawings or carvings and stone showing what look like aliens or crafts or something else. And you can almost like put the pieces together, right? It's like can't be far fetched. Maybe they seen the same thing we're seeing now. They didn't have to have cameras to see something in the sky, right? Because it's not like like we can see something in the sky and go, "Well, I see there's a light," but then you see the strobes. Okay, clearly it's a plane. So, but picture back then when there's nothing in the sky except a bird. But yet, can you imagine seeing the sky then? There was no satellites, nothing in space, other than maybe, a meteor or two, whatever going by. But if you've seen something going like this and then kind of going back and forth in the sky, it's kind of intrigued the hell out of you. You're going to be like, what the hell is that? What the hell's giving off light? It makes you wonder. Rachel says the book of Genesis and the book of Enoch describes an alien. Yep. Angels come down. The sea split for Moses to walk through. Sounds like a gravity generator split in the sea, etc. The voices Moses heard. Yeah, I mean, even then, like the Book of Enoch. I mean, he talks about, like you said, the spacecraft, how there's a wheel and a wheel, like a giant fiery chariot, so on and so forth. Absolutely. What did these guys see to make them write about it and talk about it? And it had to be something because, back then, I mean, it had to be something, because it was probably a humdrum kind of life, working in the garden. And all of a sudden, they wrote about all this. Had to have been something that was really spectacular for them to want to even talk about it, write about it, whatever it may, depending on the civilization, right? People back then. So, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Rachel. You said it showed both large and small aliens. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got to pay attention to all that stuff. And like I said, some people, I'm not into ancient stuff. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. Even if forget about space, man. Let's just forget about all that. If you just look at the ancient civilizations and you go, how the hell did they build this? Now, of course, a lot of they'll say, well, it's all aliens done it. Egyptians, not so much. I mean, they actually said, yeah, they built it, but they had the hand from their overseers. And a lot of just about every religious book out there starts with their gods came down from the heavens. Okay. So what were they talking about? Did they literally come down? They said the way they said they came down from the heavens. So they literally came from there to down to here. So showing themselves, they're gods. Now, I wasn't there back in the day, so yeah. Boogie Views, October 21st. I sent a screenshot of dead body on Mars to Facebook. Did you see it? I think I did. Trying to remember whether it was you or not. Did you go under a different name or what you got here? I don't think you did. I think you had a different name. But if I'm not sure if it was you or not. But I'm trying to think if it was. See, I don't want to comment on it because I'm not sure if that was the exact photo. Because there was one somebody had sent me and it was kind of vague, and I really couldn't make it out too good. So I don't know if that was yours. I don't think that was yours. I'm not sure. Because sometimes, sometimes people send me photos, right? And they'll say, "Well, check out this object right here," and it's so close, it's hard to even tell what it is. So it's not that I'm trying to be mean. I just got to be real, right? I got to say, listen, I can't really make it out. And sometimes I'll ask you guys, can you just zoom out just a little bit so I can get a better, clearer photo of what we're looking at, or show me like a little bit backed up as far as being zoomed in, just back out a little bit and then show the whole area and then go back in, and then I'll have both photos, and then I can give you a better idea what I think it may be, if it's anything at all. Because sometimes I see things and I'm going, I'm not sure I'm buying that. I don't think that's what it is. Next, and move on. That's all there is to it. uh, Mike, you said they all came back effed up for sure. Neil wouldn't come out of his house. His head was melted from all those lies. Well, and that's what I'm saying. You seen Can you imagine him if you seen him now in the days, like I said, when he was behind the president in the White House, and when he was talking, he's looking at, he's making all these weird facial expressions behind the president. I'm going, wait a minute. Can you imagine him being the way he is back then? You think they would have accepted him as an astronaut? No, he was definitely a changed person. There's no doubt about it in my mind. I think he's seen something on there that made him distraught. I think it screwed him up. I think they had to, of course, give these guys, go see a shrink. They probably had to, put them on medications. I mean, God even knows. But these guys were changed people when they came back. It's as simple as that. Eagle one, you said, like you say, 2 miles, they would have to be huge. Just think about the ones that we can't see. Well, and that's the whole idea, right? I mean, you're when you're zoomed in that close, like I said, there's not a telescope in this planet, at least not like something I could buy that would be so close that I could see all of these intricate little pieces. Now, if you get something that's been a whole lot closer to the lunar surface, common sense, right? LROC, you got the Apollo missions, although those are completely screwed with. But still, they're so close. Whether 8 miles up, 5 miles up, doesn't really matter. If they're that close, they're going to see something much more spectacular because the Hasselblad were, like I said, they were cutting edge cameras. They're still cutting edge cameras. And, for that lousy, resolution that they're giving us, clearly that's BS. I mean, that's all there is to it, right? That's, as well as I do, these things were like top notch. And they seen these things and they just did whatever they could to, uh, to really block out these anomalies. It's as simple as that, right? So, Bush Corey, he said it is always one twat and turn up. Oh yeah, absolutely. We all know who it is. I think it's a joke. I think it's comical as hell. I look at it this way: if they can actually take the time to come see my channel, and even if they're trying to mess with it, I think it's funny as hell. I think it's great. Keep it up. Bring it on. Limey Watcher, kids on the feed. Yep, you get them all the time. What's going on there, Limey? Good to see you in there. Let me get way back down here now. Craig McCauley, thank you. I appreciate your support. You said, do you think, or you think there's a planet X out there past Pluto? Well, the scientists will say there's no such thing. Okay. Although they have found, now keep in mind when Pluto was a planet, it was 9 planets. Now it's not a planet, it's a rock. But now, funny enough, I don't know if you guys heard the news about that real quick, but they said, well, now, there's some kind of geological changes going on with Pluto. So is it still alive, meaning in the core, or whatever? So they want to go back to Pluto. I don't know if you guys read about that, but they want to make another go at it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Well, then you find out all you need to find out. What are you doing? So you know, uh, that just happened, but anyway, they claimed at the time there was a 10th planet. Now they said it's 3 times bigger than Earth, and that they said it was out there, and it's making the outer planets kind of waver and in their orbits and stuff like that. So there's something that has a lot of gravity, has an influence on those planets. Now they don't call it a planet X, but they do call it another outer body, another planet maybe in our solar system. But like I said before, they're also saying now there may be more planets in our solar system because, like I said, where do you gauge that? Okay, so you got our star, the sun, right? And then, of course, you get the planets. Okay. Where do you go? It's not like your backyard, right? You can just have it surveyed and, okay, this is your land. This is your piece of land. Go ahead and put a fence up. You're good. Well, how do you gauge that in out in space? Because you got a bunch of planets that are close together. That's it. Do you stop? Or what about the other planets that are way, way out, but they're still orbiting our sun? So that's what they've been doing. They've been, looking at it more and more and more. One scientist says, "Oh yeah, there's like 23 of them." I'm like, "What?" And even that blew my mind because I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. But they claim there's more than just the 8. Because like I said, now Pluto's a rock. Next 2 years from now, it'll be a planet again, because they'll find more activity on its crust, and they'll call it a planet again. But thanks, Craig. Appreciate you. Um, let's see. Christian Bauer, you could have said any thoughts on Neuralink? You're talking about, oh man, Elon Musk, right? Is that what you're talking about? The Neuralink, I think it's actually pretty cool. Now, can you imagine that being used in the wrong way, right? Because that's basically tapped in your mind. All you can do is think of something like on the internet, and boom, it's right there. You can get all the information you want. It's kind of like, what was that other movie we watched before? It goes way back, but they're talking about, all you can do is like, you want to fly a helicopter, just boom, and you pretty much can get it downloaded in your head and learn how to fly a helicopter. So, now, yeah, I mean, let me see. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think it could be very interesting, but in the wrong hands, if anybody ever hacked it, they'd be in trouble, right? So yeah. Jake Parker said, "What's up, Chris? Glad to catch one. Usually get out too late. Greetings from Michigan." What's going on, Jake? Well, I'm glad you made it in here. I mean, some people, they doing things in their life and they just happen to jump in there and it's like, oh man, at least I made it. So glad that you did. Bolt Heyday, what's going on? He's saying hello to Noodles. Yeah, she does, Bushcore. Yeah. You're talking about Martine Graney, right? There's some great photos on Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she does some really good work. Odds and Crash, yeah, you said the Book of Enoch also talks about giants, and you're absolutely right. Who used to roam the earth, and it's true. I mean, now you know how some of them things are fake. They got them on YouTube saying about look at this giant skull, the skeleton, and stuff like that. And you can see a lot of it's just BS because you can see that actually CGI'd in, right? And then there's some kind of questionable, man. You're like, because they had the redheaded giants and stuff like that, and they were in these big caves and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I love to see like real solid stuff. Like in other words, It's like mainstream scientists have actually studied it, and archaeologists, and really, really got into it and looked at it and said, well, here we go, right? So, because then it'd be worth really checking out. Custom tailored one. I am Christian with unshakable faith, but I also believe in aliens. A lot of religious people do. Vatican does. That's why they get Lucifer, the telescope. It's like it's the way I look at it is like they're looking at the skies for a reason. What do they need one for? Just space, right? Nothing to see. Yeah, exactly. Joss D, is it true, Chris? Even Vatican these days admit to alien contact since history. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, and it's like it's becoming in the mainstream now. In fact, what do you guys think about these FRBs, right? The fast radio bursts. What do you guys think about those? Now, it's starting to become more and more mainstream that they're talking about this. I don't know how many of you guys have probably done any kind of research on that. But I find it really interesting that they mention these are starting to get more and more. They're starting to see more and more of these things, or hearing more and more of them. So what do you guys think about that? Anybody who has checked into them? Because we have touched base on them a little bit here and there, but James, you said, hi, Chris. Man, just checking in with you on real videos again from you, Hawkeyes. Looking forward to the hangout like always. Well, I appreciate it, James. Good to see you in there as always. And I appreciate your comments too, because a lot of times you have a lot of insight and stuff you're finding and stuff. So you're really pulling these photos apart as well, right? Bolt Heyday says probably the damn elites flying, like they're trying to keep us from, no cars, no planes, just bicycles and tents. After a few generations, they come to see the leftover humans. What would they think? We would think they were. Right, exactly. Gods. Rachel, you said God is an ancient relic that created man. God is an alien in its true form. We are the children of that God, so it will likely slightly different than us, but still humanoid. Imagine of God. Um, yeah, I mean, that's what I think. And I think that's always been like that. Like I said, just about every religious book out there, doesn't matter what it is, writing, Sanskrit, whatever it may be. Any writing out there, it's the first thing that comes out of their mind, out of the readings. Our gods came down from the heavens. I mean, to me, that sounds like they physically came from the heavens in the skies and came down to Earth. Okay. That was way back, what, how many thousands of years ago? They came down from the heavens. Alien Tenno, you said them three astronauts ended up has their worst day of their lives. The paradox of it. Yeah. And like I said, again, showing them taking off, everything's cool, everything's great, come back. Like I said, it looks like they lost their parents in a car crash. It just doesn't make any sense because, like I said, it doesn't go along with the videos. And I know you guys will watch these things. You see them, they're like having a great old time. In fact, I did think they're even playing golf on there at one point, but they're literally having a great old time. Oh, cracking jokes, having a great old time. How do they come back with that look on their face and their mindset? How did that happen? Had to have been something really extraordinary to freak them out. And the fact that they said, oh, by the way, guys, you can't say anything to anybody. How the hell? You know? Rachel also said the god, aka alien, terraformed this planet so that we can live on it with an ecosystem that supports itself. If you ask me, that's advanced engineering. Absolutely, I think they have the power to terraform any channel. And I was going to say channel because I'm just looking down here. It says channel. Any planet if they really wanted to, right? Tommy P was saying the same thing. Terraforming Mars is so stupid when fixing Earth is the first place and is way easier. And I agree, but I want you to understand something too, Tommy. What would happen? Because I wouldn't say we're too far gone, but what I find interesting is that when you look at this planet, you just go, okay, so if you can't fix it in a hurry, in other words, there's no, if you get past a point of no return, what do you do? So, even though they're still working on it, because there's a lot of people around the planet trying to clean up the eco, our just everything, the oceans, our lands, stuff like that. Excuse me. They're trying to clean it up. But what happens if you feel that, okay, we're past that point of like really, really correcting it, right? What do you do? Now, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think they should really work at this and put the money that they're putting into these space programs or just the wars. Forget about the space program. Leave them alone. Leave the programs alone. How about the wars? Just end them. How much money do we dish out to these other countries and all of the fatalities and want to rebuild the countries and so on and so forth? Just stop. Just stop. That alone would like you can literally make the planet a better planet. No more hungry, no more homeless. And, because I just think it's just sad, and I think they could really do that. And but like you said, Rachel, I mean, terraforming, yeah, I don't think they have a problem doing it. And you can always kickstart another planet. You know what I mean? This is the reason why they want to nuke Mars. They want to kickstart the planet again. And it's funny how they had one of those dormant, volcanoes suddenly erupt, and I haven't heard another thing about it. So did it shut itself down? Is it still erupting? What happened to it? Never heard another word about it. I don't know if anybody else has, but I haven't. MG you said planet. Oh, I'm sorry. Pluto has a moon, therefore it is a planet. I agree with you. I mean, just alone, just the planet itself, that should be stay a planet. I mean, but I guess it's the way to categorize it. Brad Bowner, you said, have you ever found an image that has not been altered? Well, I'm sorry, that was not altered. I have. Now, if you're talking about the moon or Mars, I have. There's plenty of them out there. However, those are the ones that are crystal clear. If you look at them, like if you take like on Mars, you got the rover. Look at the Molly cam where they're like up close to rocks, and I mean like microscopically, like the size of your pinky nail kind of size, right? Crystal clear. Couldn't be clear if you wanted it to be. Absolutely awesome. And then those are crystal clear. And then if you get like a small rock outcrop and it's real close, nice and clear, looks great. Then as soon as they go up and they look over, looking around, everything becomes crap. And they've been like that. It's been like that for years, just like the Apollo missions, the same thing. Long before the Apollo mission, go to the LRO. Some of them early ones and some of those actually been screwed with, but many of those are really, really good detail. Apollo ones, like I said, look at the Apollo, look at the LRO. Why is there such a huge discrepancy in between the two photos? It could be the same part of the moon, but yet the Apollo is a lot closer. And that's what I'm saying. They're like 5 to 7 as opposed to 75 miles. Big difference in between. You'll see a whole lot more detail, right? I heard about that, SC. And by the way, good to see you in there. You said in there, Chris, there was supposed to be an alien living in the White House years ago called Valiant Thor. Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know how true that was, right? I think it was kind of a hoax kind of thing going on, but yeah, I don't know. I just think that was weird, but I remember hearing about that. Arthur Crouch, you said, yeah, you believe Pluto's a planet again. I don't know. I haven't heard that, but I know they said something about, like I said, it has like some kind of, it's still changing. Like it's got like internal something going on. Like the planet's still alive. Well, the body is still alive. So maybe they changed it back. It's hard to tell. Yes, alien 10. More moons found around Jupiter and Saturn. Yeah, you know what? It's funny. What did they go from? What was it, 23 to like 40 something now? What? Um, and you know what? Any one of those moons could have life. Think about it. Even if they're not getting like direct sunlight or whatever, they're still getting the heat and off the body of the planet. It's got its gravitational field. It's always pushing and pulling on the planet. The gravity and stuff like that. So you end up getting a lot of well, maybe not so good because nature's going to be crazy on the moon, right? But if it's not, and it's just enough to keep the planet warm, then you don't really need to. Because I mean, the planet's huge compared to the moon's, right? So they basically kind of give and take. They're kind of like this here, kind of. Um, so yeah, let me see. I think there could actually be life on the moons. Angry Rabbit, yes, war is an economy, absolutely. All military driven, all by the powers that be, powers that actually own this planet. Renee Van Oostad, good to see you in there. There you go, Doughboy UK. Yeah, find another planet and dump the trolls on it. No, even the aliens on those planets wouldn't want them. They say, oh, just bury them. We'll let the indigenous life eat them. Of course, they'd probably get sick and die. You don't want to kill the indigenous creatures, right? Yeah, it'd be good to start the alien channel. You said terraforming another planet doesn't solve anything. How about terraforming the human race instead? Well, I look at it this way. I mean, they're trying to, quote unquote, preserve the human race, right? I think they need, again, I think if they just stop the wars and all the amount of money that's being dumped into these other countries, and I don't mean just us, the United States, I mean other countries doing it to other countries, trying to help them out and whatever, whatever. If the war stopped, everything would be hunky dory, everything would be fine, right? At least most of it. And but it's all about resources. It's all about the big money. It's all about the banks that own this planet. It's the higher ups, the military, stuff like that. They're the one that they're the one that controls the strings, guys. That's what it's all about. And it's no different from these space agencies being regulated. It's no different. Exactly, arts and crafts. Yeah, you said literally what happened with the cloud on Mars, volcano eruption. And like I said, I haven't heard anything about it after that. So I don't know. Yeah, unfortunately, you're right there, Angry Rabbit. The problem with the terraforming Mars and populating it with humans, humans will be humans and rinse and repeat. Well, like I said, I think it'll be more of the elites will go, right? And then I think what they're going to do is they're going to say, listen, all the mistakes we ever made on Earth, let's not do that. So, in other words, they're going to find alternate energy, and no matter what civilization's on there, it's all going to be the same energy. So, in other words, it won't be like a biofuel. It'll be actually, wind because they get, according to, NASA, they get plenty of wind there. That and solar. Now, people go, well, you don't get a whole lot of sun. You do because you don't have a lot of the atmosphere to block a lot of that out. So you do get quite intense heat. Um, so it does get hot on that planet. And so you've got the mistakes they made here are going to try not to do it next time. They're just simply not going to do that. They're going to try to do it. So it's going to be like their own little utopia kind of thing. And they're going to have just like, again, anything they've ever had problems with here. Now, if they have crimes up there, I think it'll be dealt swiftly. You automatically get fed to an animal here on the planet, or we just eject your ass out in space, and that's the end of it. They don't even bother. There's going to be no prisons, none of that junk. I can't see them doing that, because you're going to make the same mistakes here. And I think it's going to be people who are genetically, like, I'm going to use the term clean, so they can have the healthiest people on any civilization, anywhere they go, whether it be Mars, another planet, wherever. And I think that's what's just going to start. And this will be like the old dump planet. It'll be just like, whatever, you know. I mean, there'll still be people, cleaning it and everything else, But I think at some point, um, there'll just be like that'll be the nice clean planet now, but it's still at the end of the day, it's still preserving, the human race, right? Yeah, you're right about that, Tony. I'm sorry, not Tony, but Tommy. Also, the point of no return is far, far away, and nature can cope with it a lot. It just readjusts itself, and it can. I mean, I would have thought, industrialization when it first started, it was big time, what, 60s, 70s, 80s, it was huge. And it's not really, depending on the country, they're really not stopping. It's just getting bigger and bigger, right? And yet we're still all right. Now, I don't know if I'd keep pushing the envelope. I don't think that's good. So, I think they need to really start doing some serious, of course they have been as far as research and, start going with more reusable energy and stuff. That's what I think. Yeah, Nacho. Yeah, you said you showed your wife a picture from the NASA from another solar system showing some wicked details. She burst out laughing, asking why the pictures from from Moon blurred and black. and white. And yeah, absolutely. And yet again, you can look at the LROC photos and they look pristine, look perfectly fine. Why the difference? There shouldn't be a difference, guys. Rachel, you said for a planet Mars to work, they tell us we need a magnetic field to prevent the gamma radiation from killing us. Mars has a thin atmosphere, is what they tell us. It has an active volcano, which means, and of course, yeah, uh, there's the planet's pretty much still alive, right? And yeah, but I mean there is that, like I said, we were talking about this before, where it has this patchy radiation, has its own magnetic field rather, that can actually shield you from that. And I think that's where they're going to land, right? They're going to try to colonize them areas that are being protected. I don't remember hearing saying that it kind of moves. Like some planets will actually have, like, it'll actually move from different points. It'll like just kind of stagger in one area, but kind of move around. And they haven't said that about Mars. So my assumption is they're going to just have a civilization right there, in those within underneath those magnetic fields of Mars. I think it'd be the smartest thing to do. Common sense, right? Well, that's what I was just saying too, just before I just seen your other comment, Rachel. Yeah, it means it still has an active magnetic field if Mars has active volcano. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they're not telling us the whole truth about Mars, right? They're just not. Like I said, I get people come on the channel like, "Oh, how the hell could there possibly ever been life on Mars?" And blah 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 blah. It's so freaking cold, and it's like, yeah, but you're not seeing the other side. You haven't read all the information. It literally says in their writings that, and NASA said this, it gets hot on Mars. It doesn't matter how you slice it and dice it. Hot to me is anywhere between 80 and plus 80 plus, and that's hot, at least here on Earth. Anywhere 80 and up, that's hot. Not incredibly hot, not 80, but you know what I'm saying. So, and like I said, they registered the Curiosity yeah, registered a temperature of 104 degrees in the shade. Why? Lack of, atmosphere to block out the heat. So, because people are like, well, it's so much further away, so clearly it's going to be colder to a certain degree, but there isn't, because you may have this huge pendulum because there is not much cloud cover, so not much atmosphere. So you get a lot of radiational cooling. So it does cool down at the end of the day. The sun goes down, it drops like a rock. Okay, so if there's people living there, they wouldn't freeze to death. They simply go in their homes or underground, wherever they may be, and they just stay warm. I mean, it's not difficult. We do that here on Earth. In the very coldest places on this planet, we do the same thing. It's nothing different. Mm, 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 mm. James, you said, Chris, as you and I said before, when Armstrong and the other astronauts landed on the moon, they were alien visitors to another planet. So why can't aliens not land here in the past or present? Oh yeah, absolutely. Listen, if you go to another planet, boom, you're an alien. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? And they've done this. And like I was asking you guys a question. I'm going to go ahead and jump all the way down to the bottom here. So if you guys ask me a question, I missed it. Just go ahead and ask it again. Um, Well, Michael Greer, you said Mars has 1% of atmosphere. I think it's a little bit more than that, but let's forget about that. To me, that's BS. It's absolute BS. Again, it has a water cycle. It has an atmosphere. They're saying it's very thin, but I think it's more than what they're saying. Um, we have it has you got your North and South Pole, just like here on Earth. It goes away with certain seasons, comes back at certain seasons. At first, it was carbon ice. Now it's not carbon ice. Now it's H2O. It's actually water ice underneath the carbon ice, just like we have here on Earth. So yeah, there's so many things that that point to active Mars. I mean, you got these cirrus clouds that you see in the sky on some of these photos, right? That's weather change clouds. That's what those are. And so there's, cold and warm and stuff like that. So it probably rains. You know, how if you know how clouds are formed, you understand there's definitely evaporation going on. So, You get enough evaporation on a nice hot day, you have rainfall. And I believe that they absolutely have life on that planet. There's no doubt in my mind. Not from everything I've gathered. I don't think so. There's not a doubt in my mind. MG you said, and Mars has blowing wind, big blowing wind. Well, they say it's up to like 300 miles an hour, right? I don't know if it's just the storms are selective or they just stay the hell away from the rover because, as far as I'm concerned, uh, if they had 300-mile-an-hour winds, there'd be nothing left of that rover. Um, as well as now they have had windstorms that, like on the Spirit and Opportunity rovers, where they've gotten dust covered on the solar panels, and then they get another storm and it'll completely clean them off, and stuff like that. And even Ask was like, "Oh, they were totally befuddled. Oh, how gonna get that clean? Oh, there was a windstorm." Possibly. Of course, other people have other things. There was aliens that cleaned them off, so on and so forth. But it could very well be. But keep in mind, the rovers had an electrostatic skin on those on the actual solar panels, right? So they can just command it at will to just kind of like disperse the dirt right off of these solar panels. So it's not unheard of to see them clean. It's a fact too. You guys can look that up. So it's not that they weren't prepared for that because they knew it was a dusty planet. So how do you go unless you're putting windshield wipers on these things, which is kind of silly. But unless you're doing that, there's got to be a way to get the stuff off, right? So how would you do that? Makes sense. Yeah, MG you said Mars has. I think you said that. Yeah. Or maybe it wasn't you. Oh, I'm sorry, Alien. You said that Mars has a blue sky effect. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely does. When you take the red color that's used for from the Molly cam, like I said, it's got a little shutter door. It just opens and closes, and it's red. It's a red filter. Open it up, everything's completely the color it needs to be or should be. You've seen the true colors. They say, well, they're what do they call them? I forget how they word it. It's kind of like they say, well, it's kind of like fake colors, right? Oh, these are just fake colors. They're just so it looks better to the human eye. Okay, why would you do that? How about just put a RGB camera on the rover, which we know it is, right? But just put that on there because that's what the human eye sees. So why would you why would you have to do a fake color or false color on any photo when you could simply just say, here's the real photo, here you go. But they don't do that. Again, if you would have changed the color, everything is a red. Again, you don't see anything individuality. You don't see any of the individual colors. Now, when you do take off that pukey color and you see the more natural colors, what happens is you can see, like, you ever notice when you zoom into like some rocks, right? And you don't have to be super zoomed in, just enough to be, you can literally see different colors where they stamped in like a blur. You can see where they've a spot blur or some kind of manipulation. So if they put a red over it, you don't see that. It's easier to hide the manipulation with a red filter right over everything because you can't see any colors at all or anything they've done. And I've seen it many, many times in these photos. And this is the reason why I'll either make them, the true colors, or I'll just make them black and white. So the false colors don't mess with your mind and in fact, I got one coming up from the inside, and it's going to be a real quick video, but you're going to see something. It's like when you change the photo, it's like, what the hell? I did a TIFF as well as supposedly a raw photo, and you wouldn't believe the difference. It's crazy. That one and some other photo I got coming up, it's pretty cool. Anyway, that's the other thing I was talking about too. The FRBs, the fast radio burst. Funny enough, I was watching and I don't remember his name now, but the guy from SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, he was on there, and this is what's funny. We talked about these radio bursts, right? Which are basically like a flash of light, and they just get these bursts of like it's like sound/light, right? And it's funny. He was saying is like, oh yeah, he says, oh, it's kind of funny because they're getting like duplicate, repeating signals from these same areas. And they're saying one of them was like, guys, it's like 30 billion miles away. Oh, well, I shouldn't say miles away, but light years away. And then he laughed and he said, well, and then you got way in the other direction. It's like 1.5 billion miles away. Okay. To me, I think they know exactly what those are, and they're trying to decipher them. Again, light can carry a lot of information. Again, if you have fiber optics in your house, you know exactly what I'm talking about. it inverts it. It changes it from a signal from a coax into like a light, and it comes into your house with all this information. And light can carry so much information. It's crazy. How do we know that these aliens ain't communicating that way? It's not like they're going to run, phone lines from one planet to another, right? Silly as that may sound. Common sense would tell you they have to be either radio broadcast, but light travels faster and you can put so much more information in light. And I think what they're trying to do now is just saying, okay, we found it. Because now they said, what was it right here? And I'll give you guys the page there. We have spotted 8 more mysterious repeating radio bursts from space. And of course, this does go back to August, but still, August 19th this year. There was, let me see if I can find this one here as well. Because the new, I don't know if you guys have seen that China had built that giant radio telescope, right? And it's bigger than Arecibo. And they've found 44 new ones. So, wait a minute. So now we went from, well, there's a burst. Okay, never heard the burst again. Well, there's another burst. Well, now, wait a minute. Now they're repeating burst. It's almost like they knew where to find it now, guys. Boom. They got it right in one part of the sky, the other one facing the other part, and they know they're coming in continuously. I think they're communicating. Now, don't get me wrong. We can think science-wise, and it could very well be correct. It could be a nebula. It could be, planets or solar systems colliding. It could be a birth of a new star. It's just so many things that could be that's actually science, meaning natural, occurring, and these huge explosions from this black hole swallowing these solar systems and so on and so forth, and mega planets slamming into each other and these bursts and stuff. I mean, yeah, it's just crazy. Renee, that's not entirely true. You said Mars 64 degrees to 243 degrees average temperature. No, the average you can get if you go on and get the app on REMS, which is basically the weather station on Curiosity rover. Of course, they've been known to have lied about it, but you can get temperatures like we have here every single day. They have summers there. They have, and I think it's only 2 months in Mars, but it's been known to get 80 plus degrees there. So in the summertime, it actually gets pretty darn warm there. So even if you don't, okay, we go from 90 degrees here to 100 degrees, depending on where you live. It could be a lot hotter. Some like triple digits over that all summer long. And some of them are triple digits, well, almost triple digits. Well, they are with wind chills and everything else here on Earth. And yet people live in it. So you have shelters to stop that. You know what I mean? So you have shelters to keep you warm or cold, depending on what it is outside. So why couldn't we do the same thing on Mars or any other planet for that matter? As long as it's breathable, why can't we do it? MG Toe says wind means atmosphere. Absolutely. Well, not in a strictest sense, but I mean, as far as oxygen wise, it's hard to determine. But again, they did say that we have a water cycle. And so to me, it's just, I think there's a natural cycle, meaning ecosystem, even if it may be small, but they're saying it's in Gale Crater. So in other words, closer to the ground ecosystem, or at least, water cycle. Makes absolute sense to me. Right, Donnie Fisk. Yeah, you said repeating signals is much more significant than, let's say, the wow signal, which is absolutely right. Of course, it could be a pulsar, but no checks and balances on the people that force feed us info we can't know for sure. Absolutely. And that's why I say, to me, like I said, and it could very well be just nature. Like I said, planets colliding, black holes swallowing other giant planets, pulsars, you name it. It could very well be that. Although the guy did say, and I don't remember his name. He's an older guy. And he said, we're not ruling out aliens. And that's what they're there for, right? SETI, right? That's what they're there for. To me, I think they already know what these things are. And they know where to point these radio telescopes. And they're listening. And they're listening. Now they're saying, they're probably recording it. How do we decipher it? Or they already have. One of the two. Because you got to watch it. And if I can find it, I'll leave it in the link under this video. Because it'll become a video after this is live, right? So what I'll do is I'll find it and I'll leave it to you guys, because he literally said, well, and basically saying we're not ruling out aliens, but, and the way he made it sound, though, was kind of goofy, because like I said, it's 30 billion light years away that way. Well, but then we get some 1.5. Why is that like totally mind blowing? It's not. because if they are communicating, I mean, it's that quick, and it could be tons of information in just that burst. How do we know? We don't know, and I think we're trying to figure it out. I'm gonna try to get down to the bottom here. Let's see. Renee, Elon underpants. To protect your private parts, but what about the rest of your body? Oh man. Oh, that's too funny. Angry Rabbit, you said at least this is a civil channel. Cheers to all. Yeah, we try to keep it civil here. I mean, you like listen. You get the people here. You know, we just had another one here. Just I think it's comical. I like it that they actually take the time to come here. I actually do. I think it's funny because they try to give it their best shot and they do everything they can. Let's hack. Let's do whatever. Try to disrupt that. I think it's funny. I just it's that quick. Don't even bother with them. MG Toe, you said if there is life on Mars, then we should not try to terraform unless for the better of both species. And I agree. And that's what they were talking about because they were saying that one article. What was it? They were like saying, well, we actually should purposely contaminate it. I'm thinking, why would you do that? Now, I think way back in the day, I think they did. I think right from the first missions to it, you know, the Viking lander and any other failed attempts that they tried and crashed on the on Mars. I think absolutely. I think they've already done that. And you know, I think there's in life on that planet, whether it's indigenous life or even it's down to just you know, micro life. It doesn't really matter, right? Um, Micro or macro, it doesn't matter. I think there's plants on the planet. I think there's a whole lot of that going on, and they're just not going to tell you. But like I said before, guys, my prediction is they've already talked about water, and I've already talked this before. They even said though there was water, actual CO2. I mean, not CO2. I'm thinking, what do you call it? Other than you know, when I said that there was not just carbon ice on the poles, but there was actually water ice, and then they had actually admitted it because I was trying to get through, you know, understand how do you get these caps to come back. Now they do say that you can get pressure will actually bring these caps back, which is true, absolutely true. But I said no, but there's more to it than that because they're saying that, you know, the gases in the atmosphere, or I should say the you know, just basically the atmosphere, right, disappearing into space. Okay, I get it, but when the caps melt and they off they go, you know, because they said it sublimates, it doesn't turn into a liquid, it goes to a gas, which makes sense. Okay, so that's being sucked out into the atmosphere or passed into space, right? So what's putting it back? Something's got to put that back. And then, like I said, there was a couple, the father and the son, who actually questioned them. They were talking about the REMS, which is, like I said, again, the weather station on the rover. They questioned him. Why are you saying, as far as millibar pressure, it's not, it's different. And this is what they found out. And they asked them, well, they had to literally change their settings now on the REMS app. And I thought that was interesting because it's like they're not telling the truth about the pressure, the barometric pressure on that planet. And this is the problem. So now they kept being caught in lies, and people are starting to say, hey, listen, we call foul, man. Something's going on here. So now they're getting caught in lies. Now, like I said, at some point, again, I predict they're going to talk about, yep, we found microbial life. Oh, wait a minute. Now we found these like little pieces of little areas of little plant life or whatever. That's coming. You watch and see. And I'll be happy that they do. And I think everybody else will be like, yeah, awesome. But I think they're slow to do that because they're saying, well, you heard the article, right? And, you know, I don't think people could accept the fact that there's life on Mars. Why? Why do they think people are chicken shits? Why do they think people cannot handle the truth? I'm confused. Do they think everybody's like a scared rabbit? Like everybody's going to, oh my God, did they just say life on Mars? I just don't understand. Do you think it's a load of crap? I certainly do. I think it's stupid. I think there's a whole lot more out there. And yeah, like you said, Donnie, yeah, The conditioning, basically condition the people. Like I said, when you put it in people's minds, like Independence Day, first thing they think of is, "Oh my God, it can't be. If there's life, are they going to kill us all?" I mean, people stop panicking, they just go crazy, right? It doesn't make any sense. Mm-mm-mm. I have, Your Highness. You said on there, have you spoke to Will Farrar from What's Up in the Sky? I have. I don't know about what though. We talk once in a while. Yeah. Octa Vital. I didn't even know you were in there. Did you just pop in just now? Good to see you in there, and appreciate the support as always. Do you think a lot of the, I don't know what that is, the R beings are waiting in the haunches, or what? Because we will be to Mars soon, and they are human. We will soon see the old machines on the surface. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, if we send people to Mars, right? Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to say, "Hey, by the way, when you guys take pictures, go ahead and freely send them back to Earth to all your family and friends." I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to keep it hush. I don't think they're going to do anything. They're not going to show anybody. Um, I I think a lot of these, if there is any life on Mars, and I mean intelligent life, I don't mean like whether it be little insects or stuff like that. If there are, I don't know how we can coexist unless, of course, we already are. And if there isn't any life, well, then we got nothing to worry about, right? But I don't think they're going to come out and just show these things freely, which I don't believe they will. I mean, if they're going out of the way to hide them now, why would they change that? You know what I mean? Unless they feel at some point we'll just let it out, just a little bit more, uh, a little bit more here and there. We'll just let the cat out of the bag slowly, right? Could very well be. Yeah, pretty interesting, Phil. I liked what you said. That you said my 9-year-old told me today that the gravity is magnetic. That's why we stick to the floor. Amazing how children see the world differently to us adults. I think it would be easy to understand if it was. Absolutely. Well, I love the idea. This is what I love about the internet. Could be an awesome thing, right? And of course, it could be bad. We all know that. But if they were on, um, if you put them on the right pages, right? In other words, you feed their curiosities and stuff like that. Of course, it can make them smarter and everything else. And if they want to know anything to do with, whether it be space, whatever it is that they like to do, right? Then I think, obviously, they just learn more and makes them more intelligent and so on and so forth. I think it's good that your family does that. So kudos to her for doing that. And just I mean, like you said, what's the word they use? Like the line they use, mouth. You know, hold on. Just some of the things kids say today is just crazy. I'm just gonna get this other page up here for you guys too. This is pretty interesting. Um, yeah, because I think anybody, and I think there's other families that told me this too. They say, "Hey, Chris, I think it's awesome. We actually sit down as a family. We just watch your channel and stuff like that." But they also say there's a lot of people out there that their kids are just very interested in this kind of thing, and a lot of parents are saying, "Listen, I let them learn what they want out of school, but then I say, listen, but not all of it's the truth." In other words, like the ancient civilizations, there was more to it than that. It wasn't just, oh, look at the pyramids and that's it. There was more to it than that. Who built them, how long ago. Now they're saying it goes back much further, that the Egyptians didn't build those. The Egyptians came along and those were there. Now, how true that is, I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Bye bye, Joe. He says, stop deleting people. Well, if you're assholes, you're going to get deleted. Have a great day. Um, so yeah. Let me see. Yeah, Supreme Ruler. Yeah, you said it's a mental disorder. Yeah, well, yep. Yeah, bogey views. Yeah, I mean, I thought of the same thing, and a lot of people say that they could get more funding if they came out. Well, and that's true because, well, it's true, but it's not because it's like I said back in the day, they had to depend on the the public to support them, right? So now that they could just take the money. This is the reason why we got this huge deficit, and that's not all the reason. But when you're like back in 2000, what was it, 2001, 2004, and there's like $8 trillion missing, and nobody knows where it went. Clearly, there's probably like black ops kind of thing going on, right? Um, that kind of money just doesn't disappear. We're not talking about a $40 bill here, right? We're talking about a lot of money. So yeah, exactly, Paulie. Yeah, you don't want to open up a Pandora's box, I guess. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're just kind of slowly letting this information out. So it's getting there. Of course, it's like molasses, but yeah, it's getting there. Exactly, Blue Sunset. You said there was a time when people didn't know Mars was even a planet. Well, there's a time they didn't know. They just thought we were the only planet, and then the sun actually evolved or revolved around us, right? So, Octavital, you said, yeah, nice to be here. My dang self. Absolutely, it's good to have you in there. I don't know, Renee. You said, Chris, what are the huge, gigantic, metallic roaring, well, actually roaring, scraping, sonic boom sounds that occur on Earth, said to be the trials or tribulations of shofar, trumpets, and archangels, revelation. Well, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about that, like these big booms, all kinds of weird sounds. And, there's certain parts of Earth that you hear this in. And now they're thinking that it's a lot of things to do with underground, meaning they're, like you guys heard of DUMBs, right? Deep underground, facilities basically. And that they're still, blowing up part of the ground. They're removing the ground, they're tunneling through there and everything else. So a lot of people, say it's because of that. Now, how true that is, I don't know. But so yeah, to me, that just seems like a likely thing because obviously there's movement underground, so therefore you're going to have that, right? So I think, it makes sense, as opposed to something supernatural, but then again, who the hell knows, right? Kenneth Lair, thank you, sir, for your support. As always, missed the first hour and a half, but finally made it. You're here, man. That's all that matters, right? I know a lot of you guys squeak in there. You're like, man, man, I'm glad I'm here. So, and like I said, it's never too late, man. Just get in here and there you go. Jump right in. So again, thank you very much there, Kenneth. You guys asked me about Tyler over at Secure Team 10. He's got a good channel, man. Um, Now a lot of course, like I said, we said where he's disappeared a couple times, so on and so forth, and then he comes back. Of course, a lot of people are angry with him. Whatever. I don't know how much you're involved with the channel, and I can understand why they are if they're investing a lot into them, trying to, but he's still popping in there. He's still getting in there. I think he does really good work. I mean, of course, he does a lot of the stuff that people submit, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because there is editing to do and all this other stuff. And, you know, so to me, though, it's like, I like to do my own work. And, if I do talk about other people's work, I automatically say, well, it's their work. I give them credit where credit's due, right? So, and I believe that's what it should be done. And, but it's kind of like I don't want to just do everybody else's work. I've said it before. I said I don't care if people have UFO videos. You want me to start doing those? I'll do those too. If you find them out there, if you got your own, send them to me. Like I said, it's at Mars Anomalies at AOL.com, or you can go to my Facebook page. It's there. You can just send me a message. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I think he does good work, and for whatever reason, a lot of people, he's a has been, whatever. I don't know if I'd call it that. He's still in there, and he's still communicating with everybody. So, um, and jump down here in the bottom here. Libby Terrell's in there. What's going on? Good to see you in there. Aditya Tata, you said Indians. knew before the scientific revolution about the solar system, the planets, the revolutions, the size of planets, etc. Surya Siddhanta Vedic text, right? Well, besides them, they had the Sumerians knew about the solar system, all the planets. Of course, they talked about the 10th planet, Planet X. Um, but a lot of these people knew this stuff before we did. How is this possible? They didn't have all kinds of gadgets that we have today. They didn't have telescopes like we have today. They didn't have spacecraft that can go out and take a look. So how do they know all this unless they were given this information? So how do we know, right? Brian West is in there. What's going on, Brian? Good to see you in there as well. Yeah, he said he's not popping in there anymore. Yeah, I mean he does. I think he was in there not so long ago. I think he made another one. I but he's still popping in there periodically. Um, MG Toy said Tyler is gone the past week. Did his wife tell him it was either her or the UFOs? Well, I don't know. I mean, with the money he's making, he's living pretty large. I don't know if she told him that, but I mean, like I said, to me, I don't knock anybody for that kind of stuff. I mean, it's like I said. I mean, for me, it's like the guy was knocking these things out 2 to 3 a day. I'm not talking about like I do. Like I work, so I got, I get like 3 out a week. You know what I mean? And I try to do that for you guys because I like to get to it. I like watching and seeing these things in these photos, so I like to get to it myself. And but there's things that come up. It's unavoidable. What are you supposed to do? But, the only thing I said, and a lot of people have said, his own subs said, hey, listen, at least give us something. Let us know what's up at least, so this way here we know what's going on with you. And, then we'll just, stand by patiently until you get back. That's all. So, yeah, exactly, Noodles. He says Tyler got his own Nikon. Well, I think it's 1,000, wasn't it? 1,000 and wants to add some of his own investigations. He says, yeah, and I think he should. I even thought about doing that. Maybe get a 900 or 1,000. 900 is good, but now the 1,000 is the better one, of course. So I even thought about doing that too. Of course, they don't exactly give those cameras away. I think they're like $700-800, right? No, Alien Tenno. He said, we're watching Mars Anomalies. F secure team. Show some respect. Uh, well, I mean, I don't mind. It's not a big deal to, talk about other channels where, I think if they're doing good work, I tell it like it is, right? Um, yeah, Donnie, yes, that's what I said too. The Mayans had talked about that as well. Well, I didn't say that at the time. I was saying the Sumerians, right? As well. Yeah, and a lot of these guys knew this long before we're seeing. Now we're catching up. Now they found another planet outside or at the end of our solar system, and again we got this wobble on the outer planets because of this influence on the whether it's gravitational field or whatever. So yeah, yeah, strange guys. You said I get it though. Sometimes we need a break, and it's true. You can't just automatically think. This is what I thought when I first saw him. Right, I said, okay, he's doing good work, and of course he was in a lot of trouble earlier. Meaning, everybody's saying he's faking a lot of his footage, and I'm not going to say yay or nay on that because I really didn't know. I don't watch him all that much, but then, I said, okay, man, this guy's doing so many videos. He's going to burn himself out. There's no doubt about it. No way, no how. Your body can only do that for so long, and then you're going to wear yourself out. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened with him. I'm just saying this, even if I wasn't working a normal job, I would actually burn myself out doing that many. I mean, it's like you literally don't sleep. Think about that. If you've ever made a video on these things, it can, depending on the how much time you put into it, meaning, how long your videos, edit it. Of course, you got to do some commentary, edit it, so on and so forth, upload it. You're finding the material, either receiving it or finding it yourself, so on and so forth. And I mean, it's got to wear you out. After a while, it's got to wear you out. Now, he might just have other personal things, and that's his personal business. That's the way I look at it. Yes, Hannah, absolutely. We can do that. Brian West, good to see you in there. You said, love your stuff, man. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. James Cregan, you put on there, Chris. If there's so much space junk flying around the world, out the world's outer atmosphere. I'm sorry. How come the space station isn't hit with some of it? They're actually on a different orbit. They're like the outer satellites are further out, where the space stations, it's a lot closer to Earth. It's in the inner atmosphere, lower atmosphere rather. That's why you really don't hear much of that. Oh, this thing jumped on me here. Go back up. Strange guys, you got one of those P1000. You're saying? I think you put P100, but I think you meant a P1000. Because the 900 I was going to get before, and then they had the P1000 now. Love to get one of those things. The zoom on the things are absolutely awesome, and believe it or not, you really don't need a telescope from one of them bad boys. They're pretty darn good. Hannah, I have. You said, have you thought about doing other videos on different planets like Neptune? Would be interesting to see your research on other planets. I have. If you look at my stuff, you'll see I've done, a couple different other planets and moons. Problem with it is, like I said earlier, like somebody had mentioned about Titan. Titan's an awesome moon. They believe there's life on there, right? Problem is, how do you get the photos? Because most of them, if you do see the planet, they'll have like an area where they actually have where they did a swath of land or like of the planet, and it's blurred out. Go look at the photos, and if they're not, the CGI'd crap. So it's like you can't do anything with that if it's already just covered over. You just can't. At least on Mars and the Moon, you can actually get through that stuff. But when they completely just blur the whole thing out, period, yeah, you don't see anything. It's hard to do any of that. Um, Noodles, you said going to get a night vision camera, Chris. Well, I don't know about the night. I don't know about that right away. But like I said, I thought about getting the P1. At first, like a couple years back, I wanted to get the 900, but then it's like, well, now they got the newer one out, the 1000. It is a better camera. I think it's got multiplication, not so much more zoom, but digital zoom. And I think there's a couple other little differences on the camera. Um, so I wouldn't mind getting one of those. That'd be pretty interesting. I have, Tom. You said, Chris, have you ever checked out the some of the moon photos on Reddit taken by people with extreme high def? Yeah, some of these things are like 4K, right? And really, really awesome detail on them things. Now, of course, like any telescope or camera or whatever, you zoom in just so much to whatever you're, because at some point, right, you're going to just go past whether a telescope or the camera, you're going to go past its specs. In other words, it'll basically fall on its face if you try to go too much with it, right? So you got to just go within its limitations and it'll shine, meaning it'll just work perfect. So some of these things are absolutely just really brilliant photos. Robert Ballard, Ballard rather, I'm sorry. Do you really believe there are rovers on Mars? Absolutely. You know why? I think you question that because a lot of people say, well, I've seen them on Devon Island. I've seen them on different places. Yes, they are. And it's not a secret. I don't know how many times people tell me, oh, you don't know, man. There's a place called Devon Island. They literally got these little rovers running around with cameras and they're making it look like it's Mars. No, 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 no. First of all, this is not a secret. It's never been a secret. They actually say that. That's more than they got one in Greenland. Where the hell was the other one? No, it was Devon Island and several other places where it's very hot and very cold. And they put these things through the extreme, and because there's extremes on Mars, so they want to try to do the best that they can to simulate that and give these things basically a beating and see how they weather. Right. So that's not a secret. A lot of people, oh no, you don't understand, man. They got a secret base. No, they don't. It's not a secret. It's nothing secret about it. Yeah, guys, slam that thumbs up button and pow. Aditya Tata, he said about the restaurants, eat whatever one you feel like having. That's the way I look at it. Whatever you feel like eating at the time, right? Octavital, you said, Chris, I'm betting that you will start to investigate some unusual Earth-like anomalies seen from space. Well, I mean, a lot of people have done this already, right? Whether it be through Google, whatever it may be, they literally will look at it and they'll see like some real wild looking things on Earth. Now, is it natural? You know, or is it natural phenomenon, or is it something that people have drawn? Like, when you see these giant drawings and stuff like that, like the Nazca lines and stuff like that. Um, is it natural? No, of course, man did it. Now, there's other things that people have seen some weird things on the surface of Earth, and of course, you could just look that up um, on YouTube, and you'll find a lot of that, right? Supreme Ruler said makes you wonder if our findings will become lost to future generations, like the Mayans to us. I don't know, because the technology the way it is, I think it's always gonna be out there for people. So that's the way I look at it. And anybody who wants to know is inquisitive enough, they're gonna find the stuff themselves. And it might lead you to my work, other people's work, so on and so forth, because there's a lot of great channels out there. So and if that's your field, that's what you like, you're gonna find it. No matter what, right? It's kind of like hot rods. If you don't like anything to do with building engines, like I like a lot of this stuff. And, if you like that and it's like, oh, wow, I like, Harley 750 double pumper, blah, 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 different cams. And, if it's something it's up your alley, so to speak, then you're going to search it out. So, and with the internet, the way it is, and, like they start getting that stuff in your head, like you just, boom, you just picture it and you can download any information you want without even having to be sitting in front of a computer. So that neural link, like we were talking about earlier. Well, um, let's see this. I see. You said, Chris, I have a 10-inch telescope, and people who look at the moon for the first time can't believe their eyes. Yeah, I mean, because you're literally looking at something that's right there. It's our next door neighbor, right? So when you look at it, you just go, because, when you look from on the ground, you're just like, oh, wow, look at the moon. You don't think nothing of it. Take a look at it with a telescope, and I've done that myself. And it's like, you're just looking at it like, oh my God, I can literally look at this thing and peer at it like with real close. And, obviously the closer the better, right? You can see some just awesome stuff. Tommy P, you said, Chris, you should try to find the same anomalies in two to three several pictures to make an even stronger point. Having things in one photo only can always be errors or perspectives. Yeah, absolutely, you're correct. Tommy, here's the problem with it, and I'm going to try to do that for you guys. I'm going to tell you why. It's not so much that you can see if the object's still there. What you find is that if they manipulated something that you try to bring out, chances are the next photo, meaning a different angle, they've done different manipulations, so it doesn't look the same. So then you go, oh, see, so you're not really seeing that object. Are you or are you not? Depending on how the manipulation was done. Like I've seen it where I don't know if you guys have seen that. It had looked like a rock, and people were saying it's a creature, and it had like this weird tail, and it looked like the best way to say it is like a devil's tail. It had like a little point at the end of it. And what happened was, they said, "Oh, it moved." No, it's a different perspective, but it totally looked, well, not totally, but it looked different a little bit. But every time they did it, they went like this. They moved it back and forth like a GIF, right? They'd go back and forth, and they say, "Look, it's moving." No, the rover literally moved over and checked it out. That was a good point to do. Now I've seen that. Many things I've seen, like in the background a little bit. If they change views, if they literally went from one angle to another, you can bet the manipulation is different. You won't see it, or it's not as the same detail, or it's been taken out more. So it does make it difficult. But yeah, I'm going to try to do that for you. Because yeah, that's you know, because they're being manipulated to begin with, then they're going to do every photo like that, no matter what the object is, right? So in other words, let's say we're looking at an old structure, for argument's sake, but it's way off in the distance. Now they try to take it completely out of the photo, but you're able to bring out some of it. Well, now they go to a different angle, but because they manipulated in that photo too, now it looks totally different. What do you do? Does that mean it's not there? Or it's because they changed it up a bit more or try to hide it more in that photo? You understand what I'm saying? So it's kind of a weird thing. It's not easy to do that. And you might very well be, Rachel. You said I had lots of dreams of people here said I might be remote viewing in my sleep, and you very well, not Mel, but very well might be doing so. I know because, like, I don't know about you guys, but like, if you get entrenched in a lot of this stuff, you're like, wow, this is cool. And if you see it, let's just say you're watching a video, could be anybody's video, right? You're watching it, or it's some kind of sci-fi flick. Chances are you're going to think about it and dream about it, which is kind of cool. And then there's some people like yourself, like you just boom. I mean, you could just like you're there, like it's realistic. So yeah. Oops. Exactly, Doughboy UK. You said, yeah, the Mars face was a good example. Well, yeah, I mean, I believe the Viking orbiters, that photo before I believe the updated photo, CGI piece of shit. I mean, I'm just being frank. Um, when you see that, they go, well, guys, it was just the way the angle was. It was all shadowing and stuff like that. So therefore, now look at it. And when you see the photo, because they said, well, they flew back over it again, you can't help but to look at it. It's a piece of trash. They literally CGI'd over that whole area. Look at the difference between. Go find it. Just make a comparison. Viking One photos, you can't find too many of them, but they're there. Some of them are real small, but some of them you can find they're pretty big. Some people have taken them and really enhanced and blew them up. Well, not enhanced them, but blew them up. And when you see, you go, wow, yeah, that really does look at it. And then when you look at the updated one, well, no, we flew over that area again, and this is what we now found. It's so CGI'd. How does anybody believe that? I believe the first photo. I believe the Viking orbiter before I believe that trash. I don't know, Noodles. Either one of them looks pretty cool because you put on their SpaceX suit or new NASA suit. Either one of them looks pretty awesome. It looks like something you'd see in a sci-fi flick, right? Um, I don't know. I think it's a toss-up, to be truthful. What are you thinking? You thinking the NASA one, or you? Because the NASA one's actually pretty cool. Oh, right. Yeah, I think you were saying this before. You said I also remember being on a base, and inside the base, those walls were made up of square, shiny steel. There was an upstairs that had a long window. It was smaller space upstairs, and it looked like, of course, he ran out of words there, but um, it points to that, Jim. You said on there, Chris, do you think it's possible aliens have had an ancient war on the moon and Mars, and what we're seeing are artifacts, bunkers, weaponry? Astronauts have talked about the moon smells like spent gunpowder. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, when you put the pieces together, now we're only going by what we're reading, right? So going by that, that's what the way it pairs. When we look at the stuff on Mars, the moon, like I said, you got stuff that looks dilapidated on the moon, where it looks like stuff's just laying on its side, looks like things have been blown apart, and then there's things that not so much. It looks like it's right there in your face, kind of thing, and it looks like it's one piece, it's whole. And then when you look at the Mars stuff, it looks like stuff is some of it's pretty good. It's right there. It's in one piece, and some stuff looks like stone structures have been blown to pieces. And some of the stuff is, like I said, like I said, somebody had told me this, like anonymously back in the day, where they said, listen, you're on the right track, but understand, they have the CGI department because they have a rock mimicking software where they can literally change anything into a rock. I mean, if you look at some of these mountains, like the boulders coming down from these buttes and stuff, just have a look at them. I've been in a lot of rocky terrain areas. Obviously, we know what layered rock is and shale and all that BS, and slate rock, and we know what all that looks like, right? What I find funny is that there's like 47 different rocks in one area there. I mean, it could be everything from like this layered rock to like super smooth rock to this. I mean, I'm not saying that can't happen in nature. I'm just saying that when I go and looking at like like this, there's mountains everywhere around me, right? When I go hiking, I can see like this bunch of rocks, and and I don't mean they're the same shape or anything, but it's pretty much the same color, same kind of, whether it be smooth or rough. They're usually around the same kind of rock because they're next to that mountain, things that have fallen off that mountain. So, or the hill or rocky face or whatever it may be. They are the same because it's what's falling off there. Now, look at a lot of these stuff that's on, a lot of the stuff that's on these, coming off these buttes or their mountains, and they're like 47 different textures of rocks. It's like, what? No, I don't think so. I'm not saying it's impossible. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that I just don't believe that's the case. You guys, Renee, going back and forth here in Doughboy. That's pretty funny. Well, this is hidden, but I'll go ahead and show it. Phil Cox, you said at Libby, you said, check out my videos I've put on my channel. I think you'll find it pleasantly surprised. I'm going to go ahead and I don't know why that's blocked. I have no clue. Yeah, that's a good question, Renee. How do you wipe your arse with toilet paper in a spacesuit with a spacesuit on? Very carefully. Maybe get an extra hand inside your shorts. No, but I mean, yeah, they got to have some kind of like, maybe they got what do you call it? Depends on. It's hard to tell, right? Yeah, noodles. That's basically what they do. If you notice that in the inner suits, they have like a flap type thing. So I don't, yeah. Let's just say they probably do all that stuff on the spacecraft before they go out in their suits, because that would be really bad. What if they take a Pepto Bismol with them? Arts and crafts, do what you got to do. It's, it's on your end. Do what you got to do. Bachon, what's going on? Good to see you in there. See, Phil, I just hit 60 subs. I'm rich. Hey, you got to start somewhere, right? Yeah, that's what they can call it, Renee, the auto wipe. So great, Joseph. You said, do you think our government have anti-gravity technology? The answer is yes. Funny enough, I had a friend of mine, Sarah. She had sent me this. She said, "Hey, Chris, do you understand that the they were?" She showed me an article and it says opinion. It was on Market Watch. It says here's a believable explanation of those UFO videos released by the Navy. Well, funny enough, the Navy has patents, and you can find them online. One of them is U.S. Patent 101-44532B2, and craft using inertia mass reduction device. This is real, guys. In fact, I'll give you the links so you can check it out. Adjusted expiration date for this patent is 2036. Okay. Application filed by the U.S. Secretary of Navy. Okay. Application granted in 12/4/2018. Application status is active. But then they showed like these little diagrams of the actual craft. Craft using inertia mass reduction device comprised of an inner resonant cavity wall, an outer resonant cavity, and microwave emitters. The electrically charged outer resonant cavity wall and electrically insulated inner resonant cavity wall for resonant cavity. Okay. The microwave emitters create high frequency electromagnetic waves throughout the resonant cavity, causing the resonant cavity to vibrate in an accelerated mode and create a local polarized vacuum outside the outer resonant cavity wall. And then it goes on and on and on. That one there, and they've got U.S. Patent 103228227B2. That's right. High frequency gravitational wave generator. Okay. And it basically shows a craft, and it shows again, it's like a kind of like a schematic kind of thing. And that one there is granted to, it says assigned to the Department of the Navy. Okay. And that is good till 2038. And publication of, and it's showing another patent. That application was granted in 6/18/2019. Okay. So, yeah, this stuff is out there, guys. Description: statement of government interest. The invention described herein may be manufactured, used by, or for the government of the United States of America and for governmental processes without payment of any royalties thereon or therefore. Okay. Background. And of course, it's saying the National Science Foundation publicly announced that the laser interferometry. Well, no, wait a minute. This thing's not even that big. I can't barely see the damn thing. Basically, they're calling it a LIGO, LIGO, and gravitational waves observatory rather, finally detected gravitational waves, thereby showing the gravitational waves exist. Fully strengthening rather general relativity or GR theory predictions. Gravitational waves can be seen in undulations in the structure of space-time, or to more exact, ripples in the curvature of space-time fabric. Anyway, it goes on and on and on, and they're talking about this high-frequency gravitational wave generator. What? So they have these patents, and again, this was given to me. My good friend, like I said, she sent this over to me. Says, "Hey, you got to check this out." And it's got, you can download the PDF and everything. If you guys want this here, I can go ahead and give it to you. And this article talks about how the it says three. Let me see here. The way he puts it: cue the X-Files music and put your tinfoil hats on. We're going for a ride. They said last month the U.S. Navy confirmed the 3 videos of unidentified aerial phenomenon. Just call it UFOs, man. As far as I'm concerned, taken by airplane pilots a few years ago, and are indeed authentic. Notice we're saying unidentified, or it says we're not saying unidentified flying object. This means that the videos went through the U.S. military, so it can be assumed that they have not been computer generated or altered. Okay. 3 clips dubbed FLIR, FLIR 1, Gimbal, and Go Fast show 2 encounters between Navy aircraft and a UAP. I still call it a UFO, but call it what you like. The object was tracked by the aircraft's Raytheon RT-1, advanced targeting forward looking infrared. And in all 3 videos, it performed maneuvers that cannot be executed using current aviation technology. So, and of course, it's talking about unsustainable G-forces, and then it goes into the Navy patents. So pretty interesting. I'll give you guys the links if you guys are interested. You can check this stuff out, right? All right, so let's get this one here. This is the page with the article. I'm going to go ahead and throw that to you. Because, guys, they got this technology, man. And like I said, they push the envelope all the time. There's one link there, and I'm going to give you guys the links to the patents, and you can check these things out yourself. This is the real deal, man. This is the real McCoy. There's one patent right there. I'm going to give you the other one coming up right here. And there you go. Guys, nothing but science here. Get your minds in this. Here's the real deal right here. Ash, you put in there, a British hacker found the info on the anti-gravity craft when he broke into a Pentagon computer. Yeah, there was one recently too. Was it? I think I told you guys about that one where the guy went into like with oh god, was that small Adreno computer, right? Which is something you can put together yourself. Got into one of these mega computers basically, right? And NASA, and basically downloaded like, I think it's like only 1 or 2 files, but nonetheless they want to get this information back, and it's like, why? And they said, well, it was nothing but a couple pictures, no big deal. Well, what do you mean it was no big deal? Then why do you care? Other than the idea they don't want the guy hacking the stuff, right? So they want to find out who it was. But the way they make it sound, it's like, well, they hacked into a computer, but really wasn't that bad. Well, then, of course they want to find out who it is because they don't want to keep doing it. Because, they might find something really interesting. But I think if it's a photo that hasn't been messed with, right, then clearly, yeah, that may make it out. And I don't think they want them the public to know about it. But let's suppose for a moment one of these guys said, "Hey, Chris, I just want to stay anonymous. I'm going to give you this photo, stuff like that." And let's say it was crystal clear, non-manipulated. I think even most of us would say, "Oh, come on, that looks so fake," because it'd be so true and so clear seeing stuff there. But would it really? I don't know. What do you guys think about that? If I actually come out with something like that, some people might go, "Oh man, I think you totally faked that," because it would look so true and so real because it's not manipulated or obfuscated. So it would almost seem like, yeah, you made this up. And because I would think that at first glance, but then I think, okay, wait a minute. He did say he did get this information anonymously, and that this is in fact Mars. Um, I think it'd be exciting either way. You know what I mean? I think it'd be pretty cool. Diamonds and triangle craft on the pattern. Absolutely. Look at the actual second pattern I just gave you guys. The pattern rather. It shows actually it might have been the first one I gave you guys, but it's actually a triangular craft. What's everybody's been seeing? Um, there you go. So like I said, guys, I mean, the stuff is the real deal. And like I said, Sarah, she gets the what do you call credit for showing me that? Because like I said, I wasn't even aware of it. Um, and then they got another one here. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but right there, let me see if I can click on this. They got right there, the B6 4G1 / 409, and then it takes you to when you click on that link, it says inertial propulsion device to move an object up and down, device to move an object back and forth. Spaceship to harness radiations in interstellar flights. What the hell? What are we looking at here, guys? And that's in that link. Like I said, that was the first patent I gave you, the US 101 44532B2. And if you look down on the bottom and at the little triangular craft, it says classifications, and it has, like I said, you can click on that blue link. It says B6 4G1 / 409, and it says unconventional spacecraft propulsion systems. Are they ours? Yes. There's crafts out there. I think there's top secret crafts that we're seeing or weren't supposed to see, or hearing or weren't supposed to hear, but yet they're out there. That doesn't mean every one of them is a UAF, like they call it. I think it is. I think and now I think it's like they're going, well, if it's ours, and clearly there's nothing else out there. Even if they were to say that, let's say it was all our spacecraft. Okay, if we're capable of building such things, the civilizations are quite able to do it too. That's the way I look at it. Well, it's really well. Brian West, you said Mars Landing. You get that straight from the USPTO. No, this is like I said. This was given to me. The links were given to me. I didn't even search them out, but they are in fact right there on the internet to check out. Um, and it says Google, and of course it says patents at the top. But you can look up just about any patent; it'll be on there. And like I said, I wasn't even aware of these, to be truthful with you. And I knew that they had government spacecraft that did this, or they made these things with different propulsions. We've been talking about that: ion, plasma, all different kinds of things, anti-gravitational, so on and so forth. So, yeah. So when you see this, it backs what we've been talking about. So, but I don't believe it's all ours. I believe there's other stuff out there that's clearly, like I said, if we could build this stuff, then if these other civilizations are way beyond us as far as technologically, they're probably laughing at it, go, well, they're finally getting a little some junk to fly. I mean, they're probably just looking at kind of like that's oh, it's kind of cute that they're doing that. You and I too, Jason. He said, "I love to see an old unadulterated photo." Yeah, which is true. I'd love to be able to do the same. I'd love to be able to see that where it's nothing's been messed with, nothing obfuscated, manipulated, none of that junk. That's pretty much it. Pete's Vlogs, good to see you in there. Guess you just dropped in real quick. Let's see. Bush Corey, you said if a hacker came to you with real photos, would you risk your safety showing the world? That's a tough one. Because, like I said, I would always want to tell it because I think everybody deserves to see it. Now, yeah, I'd probably have to, like, if I was to release it, I'd probably have to go into hiding after and just like disappear for a while because they'd probably want to get my ass. But on the other side of the token, they may be saying, hey, listen, let them think it's real. Let them hash it out. Because, like I said, there's going to be people out there. Some people are like, well, I'd love to see, they'll get mad. They'll say, I'd love to see a crystal clear photo. Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all? But because some of these things are not meant to be seen, like a lot of these washed out moon photos, they're not meant to be seen. These things that objects are in there, clearly this is the reason why they're doing that. Again, look at the washed out white photos. Look at the LROC photos. Why is there a discrepancy in it? There should not be. It should be just as crystal clear as relatively, to the LROC, LRO, we'll call it what you want, just basically to see as the camera. It should be pretty darn close in detail, right? But yet they're not. Why so washed out? And why does it have that mashed potato looking crap, smoothness, looking distortion on it? Makes no damn sense at all. Unless that particular area of the moon, where they were just flying over it, had stuff on there they didn't want you to see. It's as simple as that. I don't know. Yeah, Kenneth, I did have a look at them. You said, Chris, did you ever receive the 2 emails? I did. I think I'm trying to remember if you put, I'm trying to remember because 2 or 3 you sent me them recently and I just looked at them over the weekend. Well, it was like Friday night into Saturday. And if you sent photos, I downloaded them. So I'm going to be going over those and see if there's anything in them. I don't know if you sent the photos because I know you sent 2 emails. So I'll definitely check those out. I've actually had 3 of you guys send me 2 or 3 photos. So I need to check out to see which one's which because I'm not sure off the top of my head which one was yours, to be truthful. Rachel, you said the TR-3B most likely generates a gravity field so that when you're in space, the gravity holds you to the floor so you're not floating around the ship inside, LOL. Well, that, and, again, it's kind of like that, when they're talking about, let me see if I can see if it was, if like I said, that article I sent you, like the unsustainable G-forces and stuff like that, there has to be some kind of, field for something for the occupants, right? So you're not, the second they want to go a certain direction, a high rate of speed, you're not plastered up against the wall. So, yeah, I mean, that alone has got to be just wild, right? So you can only imagine what they really have. They got patents, and this goes back, well, not this too long ago, but like 2018. So they're constantly working, like I said, guys, they're constantly pressing the envelope. That's what makes me believe they have much more out there than we ever know. That's all there is to it. Vlad's channel, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Been a while since I've seen you in there. Blue Sunset, Chris, the whistleblower. Well, like I said, that would be a tough one because then the first thing you're thinking of is what's the ramifications of that. I mean, if you let the cat out of the bag, are you going to get a knock at the door, or somebody will set fire to your house in the middle of the night? I mean, how the hell do you know, right? We just somehow disappear. It's hard to tell. But me, like I said, I think they, even if they wanted to stop people like us doing these, I don't care if it's people doing moon videos or things on the moon and then stuff that's doing, on Mars. I don't care who's doing it. If they really wanted to stop these people, wouldn't they just get a hold of like the people at YouTube and say, just to cut them out completely, just, make them vanish somehow, get the channel off or whatever. If they really wanted to, they don't really have to do anything to you, right? All you can do is cut your source off, right? So, of information being passed on. So to me, even if you found something crystal clear, they might go, let them debate it. Half the people say, oh, it's fake because it's too clear. Half the people say, no, oh my God, they finally showed us something clear. So there'd always be that ongoing back and forth, right? No matter how you look at it. Mars Anomalies, thank you. Never stop what you're doing. Well, then that's the whole idea, guys. It's, I enjoy doing this stuff. That's why I get on and do it. I like finding some crazy things. I've gotten, like I said, a Mars photo where there's something in there. It just doesn't make any sense. And I'm actually going to make a joke about it too, because it's kind of funny. But when you see this object, it's the most different object out of anything sitting there, right there in the foreground. It's what's in the background is what's puzzling. And it just makes you wonder, okay, what is this? And, we can only speculate as to what it is, but still anomalous, something that stands out from its surroundings. And this is exactly a perfect example of it. And it's kind of cool. And it'll have you kind of scratching your head a bit like, what the hell is that? Jim, I was just watching what, just read what do you call it? Phil said to you. I contact NASA and harass them about moon Apollo pics, objects, UFOs, and structures on Mars. They really respond, deny all. I believe they're being pressured by outside power. Yeah, I mean, they're being influenced and they're regulated about what they can talk about, what they can see. Because if you think about it, why would they even manipulate them at all? Think about it. So they have to show these photos because we're not the only ones to see them. We're the last on the totem pole, guys. There's going to be archaeologists that work at NASA or wherever, or even other people, right? It doesn't have to be people that work for NASA. It could be or JPL, whoever these space agencies. It could be anybody that outside of them that's looking at these too. Oh wow, yeah. Look at these rocks. Look at this. Look at that. So we're not the first ones to see this. It's scientists, geologists, and so on and so forth. And then we get, I'm sure the outside people of NASA get the watered down versions like we get. And I believe a lot of these photos, what's in it, as far as rocks and everything else, are the real deal. I don't think but there's certain areas you can see that they've been screwed with. You can literally see that. And through different raw plating on these photos, you can literally see where they've actually manipulated the photo or obfuscated it. You can see it. I mean, it's just like you can see the areas where they've actually digitized over to try to hide the actual details, right? Bush Corey, sorry to ask again as I'm popping in and out at work, but did you answer about going on Joe Rogan podcast if invited? Apologize if you answered. No, I'd absolutely go. I like Joe. I think he's good people, and he's very smart too. So yeah, I'd absolutely go on. It'd be interesting to do that. I watch a lot of his podcast, or listen and watch his videos rather. So I like a lot of his work. Not to mention he was in the MMA, stuff like that. He enjoys fighting and stuff like that. So big fan of that myself. Archetype net. You said I like Hoagland's work rather. Yeah, I mean he's like I said, he's one of the forefathers really that have actually done that. And there were several people that actually JP Skipper, you know, Hoagland himself. There's a lot of these guys that like started all this and got all of this to people to start looking and researching and stuff like that. They're basically the forefathers of basically researching this stuff, right? So yeah, you can't give but a lot of respect to these guys. Um, Thomas, you said Olympus Mons, and you put what was the other one? You said uh, okay, there's two years actually talking about it because you put Archetype Net. You put I think Olympus Mons is a huge lightning scar. You may be uh, you may be confusing the two because you've got Olympus Mons, which is basically a dormant volcano. It's the largest in the solar system, and you've got when you look at that, it's like I said, it's the largest. I forget how the elevation is on that. It's quite high. Anyway, like I said, this is like the largest in the solar system. I don't know how they know that, but apparently they studied every planet pretty darn well. So, and so you've got like big areas like that. But that one there was a volcano. I'm not sure if you've taken another part of it. Dan Coleman, Chris, do you think it's possible that NASA is making more out of in the pictures that are out there? I mean, add more in the photos make a joke out of it. I don't think that's the case because they're going out of the way to hide a lot of it. So, I think it's what's going on, to be truthful with you. I think it's because, you know, when you it's almost like I said, I've used the term like they're dropping breadcrumbs, right? I think it's like they're saying anybody wants to learn what's really on this planet, they'll have to research it. They have to literally study these photos to see it. And a lot of people have been doing this. It's not just me. There's a lot of people have been looking at these photos. Again, Hoagland, JP Skipper, all of these people back in the day looking at this stuff and found what looked like lakes, forest, all kinds of crap on this planet. So long ago, these people were doing this stuff. And, I think it's like every now and then, because some people have asked me, Chris, why would they go through the trouble of manipulating these photos and then just leave one or two things out? Well, that's the key. Is it that they're leaving this stuff out or just like, boom, somebody had a duh moment and forgot to take that out? I don't know. But I think they would have like, let's say you and I are working in the CGI department, right? I'm going in there, I'm doing my work to the photo, and then I pass it off to you. Then you go over it and you pass it on to the next guy. I don't see how any of these guys can miss it unless, they're purposely doing it. I mean, how else can you think, other than they're probably letting it out slowly and anybody who wants to find it can do it. I don't know. Let me see. Mm, I'm trying to find this for you guys. I'm actually drawing a blank, to be truthful with you guys. I'm trying to remember because you said uh, Archetype Net, you said, I'd say that's up for debate. Well, the actual volcano is not. I mean, it's an actual volcano. It's like I said, it's the biggest one. And so I'm trying to remember the actual. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here, but it's the actual scar. Everybody keeps saying it's electrical scar, but it's an actual. It's like the Martian Grand Canyon. That's what they're claiming is done by electrical charge. In fact, you can actually drop the United States from end to end inside it. And we've talked about this before. So I think you're confusing those two. And you may be right as far as that goes. In other words, it's that other area you're talking about because most people have said that it's either that or a physical, because they say something might have scraped the Martian surface at one point or literally left that scar on the surface. And I think that's what you mean. You may be getting them confused. Not that it's a big deal, but I think I know what you're talking about, and you may be right on that. Teeny four, you said, well, I once sent via Twitter and Tether video, the Tether video, to an astronaut, and I was given 12 months access link to NASA archive raw photos for every planet, both landers and Saturn. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Wouldn't mind checking that out. Yeah, Jim, I have. He said, "Have you seen the asteroid Bennu?" Which I've covered. I actually covered that one. That landed a rover at. Yeah, it was like a little, like a lander. Well, it's supposed to be like a rover lander kind of thing, but the pics are awesome, and some look like foreign objects and giant arrow objects. Yeah, some of the things don't quite look like just rocks. You know what I mean? And some people have asked me, how do you get a rock that's hurling through space between 17,000 and 20,000, 27,000 miles an hour, and it's like turning from end to end and not slinging any of these rocks off. How the hell does that happen? I mean, unless it's got a really good gravitational pull on that particular rock, right? How is that possible, right? I don't know. Well, that's the truth, Brian. Yeah. No, NASA does what they want, not required to show anything. Exactly. It's like we're all on a need to know basis, right? Josh D, you said, sorry, friends, have to leave early today. It means 1:30 a.m. now. Have flu, need some rest. I hope to meet you all next week. Well, I appreciate you stopping in. Get better, and have yourself a good week there, right? Archetype Neg, you said if we could only crowdfund our own orbited with, or basically put a camera out in space, I guess, and you put a pipe dream. Well, I'd love to be able to see. This is what I'd love to see. Now, you see a lot of these people doing them balloons. Like you get these cameras. They could be 4K even, right? And they literally put them on these balloons. What I'd love to be able to see is a camera looking upward out in space. You ever notice you never see one on? That's what I find interesting. Even a lot of and I've said this myself, where you got these rockets taking off, and you always have them like on the side of the actual rocket looking down. So you can literally see the thruster, of course, the main engines, and of course, see like, the third engine stage break off and it goes. And then, of course, you see the other section and they just break off. Why don't they put a camera looking straight outward? That would be interesting, because once it gets out of into the high orbit, or low orbit rather, you should be able to see out in space after that, because the light would be behind you. You should be able to see something out in space, but you never see that. Makes you wonder, right? Exactly, Eagle One, yeah. Hold on, this thing just jumped up on me. Valles Marineris is what it's called. It was just basically like they called it the big scar. Um, and they said that might have been done by electrical charges and stuff like that, which, they've done this in a laboratory and said, well, this is what we believe to be the cause of it. And I always say, listen, just because you can simulate it doesn't mean it's the cause. I mean, it's a good theory or a good hypothesis, but I don't think that's the case. Of course, we don't know either way, right? Could very well be. MG told, yeah, there are evil forces on this board that want to silence Chris. But then, what you do? You go, see ya. Just had to swat another one. But see, that's what I'm saying. It's sad that you get these people coming from other channels, but I think it's funny as hell. I think it's funny. Every time I see them, I just go, oh, yeah, it's awesome. Click, bye, see ya. I think it's funny. Last week, you said, can't remember the name for it, but the Grand Canyon has like 10,000 years of sediment missing, and they can't explain. I don't know if I heard about that, but I know they say there's some weird things in there too. I don't know if you guys heard about that as far as like ancient civilization, but they say there's other, well, I don't know if it's like kind of Egyptian kind of, ancient stuff in there. And there's like a section of the Grand Canyon, which they have actually, it's like you can't just go there. You can't pass in that particular area. Now, I don't know how true that is. I haven't seen it. I haven't been there, but, you know, it may be just simple safety reasons, right? We could just simply fall off. But they say there's like a certain area that's been just basically like, no, it's prohibited to go. So I don't know. Bogey views, first time here, enjoying the discussion. Well, like I said, just jump right in there, man. Got a great bunch of people here, not like other ones. And you can tell the other ones because they come over here and try to attack this one. That's what I love about them. Austin Gerardo, can you do an enhanced version of the face on Mars? I've actually done a video a while back about that, where the face, it might be almost like a transparency, and you can see what looks like structures all over it. So kind of crazy, and some of that stuff there's a lot more going on in that area than meets the eye. I mean, there's just a whole bunch. You got what looks like the pyramids, the face, and of course, everything in between is where you got to really break it down, right? Mort Piat, they can't break our bond. Exactly. You know what? You got a lot more better people in this channel than a lot of others. Now, there's a lot of other hangouts which I really like. I've seen a lot of stuff like in P&K space imaging. You guys want to see real good photos of the moon? Just basically going over, and he does get in tight sometimes. That's the channel to be watching. That's some good stuff right there. So Craig Joseph, you said, why do you think that NASA and elongated Musk are still using rocket technology while we currently have anti gravity? Well, because I think what they're trying to do is I think they're trying to stick with, you know, what the public knows. You know what I mean? Using Saturn V, using this old technology when we have much more. And so, what about behind the scenes that we're not seeing? If they have this anti gravity technology, how do we know they're not going back and forth to Mars, the moon, and everything like this? Quick, quick. How do we know? It's pure speculation because I've never seen it happen, but that's not the point. That doesn't mean it hasn't, right? So if they do have this kind of technology, you can bet they've been working on it for years, like all these top secret planes and these invisible planes, radar, where you can't see them and stuff. I mean, yeah, yeah, it's called P and K, so just a letter P and then a little sign for Ann and then K, space imaging. And they do this live feed all the time. Really good stuff. Check them out. It's two guys doing it. P and K. There's actually, I think it's Pete and Keith. I forget who it is, what their names are now, but that actually just stands for both of their names. They do great work on that channel. I pop in there periodically, say hi to them, and they just do really good work. It's the only channel I watch as far as real moon stuff is to watch that. And a lot of Alien Hunter does a lot of good stuff. I mean, what he does is a lot of he doesn't do live work. He does like the photos and really goes into them, enhances them and stuff. So he does on his work. He does really good work. But as far as live moon stuff, that's the channel to check out. That's good stuff. Jason McVeigh said, "Yes, there are good people here, and I greatly enjoy it, Chris." Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love coming to these things. I love saying, "Well, you know what? I look forward to on Sundays. I come out and I go, oh man, I can't wait till 5. I hope we get these things done. I need to get done so I can jump. Excuse me. So I could jump on this and check it out, and be here with you guys, talk about all different topics. Like I said about the radio burst, or all kinds of stuff like that. It's just interesting stuff to me. I just love this stuff. Oh, nothing like a dry throat to get you start coughing. Um, that happens when you talk a lot. Oh, where did it go? Chris, you have answered a trillion questions already tonight, man. Unreal. Fair play to you, man. Well, I mean, I tried to get everybody's, and sometimes people get mad at me. Oh man, you missed my question. I tried to ask you, you couldn't get to it. It's like, oh my god, are you kidding me? I'm just like, there's like, I don't know how many comments are on here every night. So it's kind of like, and then sometimes it'll say, this comments for a review. And this is what happens in Word of Life. If you ever done this on your own channel, you know what I'm talking about. So I go, well, why is that even hell for review? There's nothing bad said about it. So I'll click it to allow it, and it'll jump way up and go to the bottom. And I just jumped over how many people's comments. So I don't mean to do that, but it just happens that way. Patron, you said Werner von Braun created Elon Musk. Maybe it was his baby. No. Well, these guys were all smart people, right? They were into rocketry. We failed a lot of times. Werner von Braun, he come over, and of course with what I think it was 20 other scientists, they all came over. They wanted amnesty, or they wanted to be able to just let me get out of the country after all the warring going on over there. And we had rockets that were shit basically, and basically they helped us out with it. So, and even him, he's wanting to go at the time. He was wanting to go to Mars and go to all these places, and he had plans to go all of these places. And this is back in what, 60s? I mean, 50s, 60s. Yeah. Kenneth Lair, you put on there, P&K space imaging is great. Awesome views of Saturn and Jupiter as well. Yeah, he does. They do really good work there. That's the only, anytime somebody says, hey, what about a good moon channel that's, showing the real deal? You go to them. That's where I go. That's where I check out the good stuff. You sit back and you actually see the moon right there in your face, right? Pretty cool. Renee agrees too. Renee Van Oosterhout. Yes. Chris, good channel. Yeah. If you're talking about the PNK, yeah, really good stuff there. So, Craig Joseph, you said you are awesome Mars anomalies. Well, I appreciate that. Keep it real. That's what it's all about. Renee, you said always PNK and Alien Hunter Matrix Wisdom. Well, that's, like I said, these guys are taking the time to do real work. They're not BSing nobody, not showing fake crap. They're just showing the real deal. And that's what it's all about. And I'll back any channel that does that, you know? Jim Dinah, you said, I believe anti-gravity created by Tesla and electromagnetic waves are the future. Do you think the government, military, need to use this technology besides Area 51? Well, you can bet, wherever these top secret bases are, they're building this stuff, right? I mean, just goes to, because everybody's going to have that new technology. So if it's military branch, you can bet they're all using it, at least on the, because there's always going to be like this black ops kind of that part of that military, whether it be the Navy, Air Force, whatever it may be. I know the Navy's into it big time, which at one time I heard about, they actually had, trying to remember what they called it. There was it's like Space Command, like almost like we were talking about before, where they're supposed to have this, basically patrolling our outer space, right, around Earth. And that's what they were doing. They had a military, but it was run by the Navy, which is really weird. And I thought that was kind of bizarre, but really doesn't matter if you think about it, because the Navy's into so much more, right? It's not just, you think Navy, you think water. Well, that's not always the case, because they have jets, they have, different fighters, they have, these ships, they have all kinds of technology. And look at the technology going to these warships. I mean, it's insane, the stuff that's coming out. Jim, you said, appreciate your time and answers and discussions. You're the best host. Ignore the morons that are narcissistic wannabes. Oh, yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, we just see ya. Don't care what they got to say. Really don't care. We've had rockets since the early 70s, maybe early. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, Rachel, what do you think about the technology, though? Do you think they had this anti-gravity like a long time ago? Do you feel that now they're just now saying it now, but that doesn't mean they haven't had the, even though they're applying for patterns now, but did they have it long, long time ago? The SR-71, nobody knew about that damn thing till the 90s. It was made, the plans were probably drawn out in the 40s. This thing was built in the 50s. Didn't know for 40 years, 45, maybe 40 plus years later. So did they have this much earlier? And it's just now they're saying, oh, we're going to apply for it. Because clearly, if these things are flying around in the sky, they're going to have to apply for something, right? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Oh, so you know what I'm saying? You think they had this much earlier than they're talking about? That's sweet. You said find it near impossible to believe USA would post space shuttle being being dependent on Russia for space stuff, unless the USA and or Russia had secret space powers. I think even back in the day when this Cold War crap was going on, there was the higher ups that were all in this. In other words, like I said, we get the United Nations, right? And I've always said this. Maybe they had the United Space Program where all of these people are working together. It's because, like a lot of people say, and they make a great point. Why is it that some of these countries that maybe hate the United States are not blowing the whistle on them? Well, do they have, like the regular people, do they have proof of it? But if you're on the upper, like a black ops type thing, wouldn't you be all working together as a whole to get this stuff done? And so, in other words, you can have like black ops NASA, meaning the higher ups that the regular NASA people don't have any clue about. And it's like that with every space agency. And they're like this conglomerate to working together. And how do we know? This is the reason why none of them blow the whistle, because they're all working together. And like I said, like Elon now, he's bedfellows with NASA because he's working with them, helping them out, getting their rockets up there. Getting supplies up to the ISS, doing all kinds of stuff. So, I think there's no doubt in my mind that there's like some kind of united federation of space agencies, so to speak. I'm sure there's something like that. You can almost bet on it. To have Derek Baker, there he is. What's going on? Good to see you in there, man. Talked about some of your stuff in my latest video. Your enhancement of that area on the moon. Where you got Posidonius crater and all that. Gave a little shout out for yours. You can check out some of your work. I think I gave it a shout out on that one. If not, if you want to drop any links, Taff, just let me know to your Flickr. Taff does a lot of good enhancements on the moon. Found some really incredible stuff. So if Taff wants to drop the link, he can do that, and I'll give you guys the link. You can all check him out. Does really good enhancements himself. Good researcher. Check his stuff out. Rachel, you said you could literally run a crash propulsion with electromagnetism and run the energy generator with a fusion core. Well, like I said, I think personally, I think they had this stuff long before they're saying. You know, again, when they built all this stuff to go to the moon, send man to the moon, they were already working on engines then. Already working on them, different propulsion. And what they do is they keep feeding the public this line of BS about, well, you can only just use the Saturn V rocket, or the whatever rocket they're using. I mean, because there's a couple different types, but been using it for years. Seriously? And I think you even said it's time for an upgrade. So to me, it just seems it makes more sense that they've already have. But they're feeding the public, oh, same old technology, nothing fancy. Because think about it. If you have people believing that we just have just like a whole hum kind of technology, there's no way we could get to Mars faster than that. It makes perfect sense. Think about it. But then the other stuff and what's really going on behind the scenes is the actual high-tech stuff. People flying back and forth with no problems whatsoever. I think that's the case. You guys might have different ideas, and that's cool. Yeah, well, they have more than one of that. Socrate Joseph, he said it's called Solar Warden, run by the Navy. There's other branches of it too, but yeah, you're right. You're right. And there's so many. Oh my God, it's like there's black projects going on, and like I said, there's $8 trillion doesn't disappear out of a bank unless there's something major going on. So these space agencies don't need our money anymore. Back in the days, back in the Apollo days, yeah, support this. It helps us. Whatever. They don't need that. We'll just go ahead and take that. You don't need that cash. Doesn't matter if your deficit goes through the roof. Don't worry about it. So yeah. Autographs, you said you because you seem super smart and very well spoken. Well, it's like I said, I'm no different from you guys. I always say that because it's any rational person can do some research, right? That's the way I look at it. Do some research, and that's why I always tell you guys when I show you these photos, you don't have to believe everything I say. Research it yourself. This is the reason why we give you the links. Any good channel will give you the links to their work because now if you do like a bunch of photos, and I mean like when I say crap load of them, like some people will cover like 50 different photos. Say maybe there's some anomalies they're seeing on Mars, and they got like 50 different photos. It's hard to put all of those in one thing, So I get that, but if you're talking about one particular photo doing a anomaly, then people can actually see the link. I want to check it out myself, and by right you should. I always tell people, listen, don't listen to what I say, and as far as etched in stone, because I'm only looking at it from my perspective. I might say, well, this looks like this looks like that. But I always tell people, tell me what you think, because I may be way off base. I'm just saying what I think it looks like. Guys, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. And that's the way to do it, right? Secret World just said, yes, you are right. They all work together behind the curtain. At least not behind mine, I hope. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, you're right about that. Just about time to shut her down. Crooks D and Post Pro. All right. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, let me see what we got here. Did you already post it, Taff? I don't see the thing. It said Crooks D in post, bro. Oh, I'm not seeing it. Like I said, if you have just send me the link to your actual Flickr, and what I'll do is I'll have people just go ahead and check it out, and because you got a lot of good work up there. I think a lot of people need to see it. Well, I appreciate that, Rachel. You said, Chris, you speak the truth. That's why I love you. Well, I mean, I love you guys too. I mean, it's all about like, listen, we're all people. It's a learning curve. We're all trying to find the truth. That's basically what it comes down. Like I said, I'm not special from you guys. I'm the same way you guys are. I want to learn. I want to know, and this is how we learn. Because a lot of you guys are intelligent people too. You guys are great people, and that's what it's all about. You might bring up something I didn't even know about. Okay, but that's how I learn. I find out the information. I go, wow, I never knew that. Like I said, um, good friend of mine, she sent me this information about those patents for the propulsion systems, and I wasn't sure that they were on like the internet. You could find them readily available. So she brought them to me, and I'm glad she did. So that's what it's all about, you know. And I didn't know it. I learned. I looked at it. I said, oh, damn. So pass it on along to you guys. Again, we learn together, and that's what it's all about. Some of the channels out there want to make you believe, oh, I'm so special. I'm better than everybody here. No, you're not. It's like we're all people. We all put our pants on the same way. That's sweet. Otherwise, they have a different curtain. Thank God. At least they're not behind it. It scared the hell out of me. I can just see it now. They're looking at through the camera or through the the screen. Um, no, I didn't get to see it. SC. You said, Chris, did you watch the UFC fight? No, I sure didn't. Um, oh, you put it on Messenger. Okay, I'll check that out. No, I didn't. I didn't get to see it. I was actually, like I said, my weekends fly by. It's almost impossible to watch some of this stuff sometimes. Let me see. I'm going to check this out real quick. Renee, and funny. He said, no, I really love Rachel. Hey, so don't I. She's a good cook. So she says. And I believe her. James Cragen, you said, Chris, your last video of the moon was huge holding tanks of some sort with pipelines going in and out of the surface. Looks like industrial site up there, man. Great hangout again tonight. Well, and I've noticed that too. If you again, we can see the big objects on the moon, and I'm cool with that. But when you look between them, that's where it gets really wild because you can see what like these little roads and little just other structures that you don't see. They're in the darkness, and you don't see these things. It's almost like these white ones are trying to camouflage the ones that are below that are in the dark areas, right? Just weird shit. I mean, it's crazy at the same time. Let me see what we got here. I'm just going to get that link for you guys. All right, here's now this is a really good photo. This is of Crook's crater, Crooks D, exactly to be truthful with you. This is from Taff Baker's page. You guys can check that out. Chipling. No, and there's not loading. I don't know what's up with that one. Let me see here. Let me do this. Oh, there we are. I'm going to give you his page. Taff's actual page. You guys can check a lot of moon photos in there and a lot of enhancements he's done. So this is, like I said, this is his work, not mine. Check his stuff out. I know you guys love everything moon, so check that stuff out. It's pretty cool. Well, Brian, you're not supposed to be doing that. He said, but I wear my pants backwards. Well, they still go on one leg at a time, though, right? So you'll be all right. Yeah, Jim. He says. You said astronaut Buzz Aldrin on the rare video talks about alien structures, alien UFO on the edge of the crater. Yeah, they were talking about many. There was like five or six of them. They said they were right on the crater wall or edge, looking down at them. And they've. I mean, tell me that wouldn't freak you out. I mean, if that's true, that is right. I know there was talks between Capcom and them. They're saying, "Man, it looks awfully dark down there. It looks like awfully desolate." And he says, "Well, what do you think about those?" They said they can see lights in the craters, and they said, "What do you think about that?" And they said, "Well, I don't think they ever get out." What? Yeah, crazy stuff, right? Well, that's true, Rachel. You make a great point. For a craft to work long term, it would have to be impervious to EMPs from solar activity, from the sun. So all electrical components would have to be protected from these waves. You wouldn't want your, well, basically you're saying stuff to burn up. And you're right about that. I mean, this is the reason why we're even doing that now. If you notice, a lot of like electric companies are actually, basically making it EMP proof, right? Which anybody doesn't know what that is, electromagnetic pulse. You can get these from solar flares coming off the sun. You can also have, um, you know, if it's done intentionally, right? Because I mean, if somebody really wanted to start a war, they could do that with ease. Just from some kind of high powered satellite EMP down in the country. You know, back in it was like late 1800s. They had a solar flare that came and just basically singed the phone lines, and basically telegraph lines way back in the day. And so, yeah, pretty crazy. Uh, Let me Watcher, thanks for stopping in, man. Have yourself a good night, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, and they're trying to beef up their, and like a lot of electric companies trying to do that. Military, of course, is doing that in case there's anybody ever tries to do that. Or we have like the solar, like again, every 11 years we get that solar cycle. The sun's most active. You get all kinds of solar flares and everything else. And of course, our magnetic field protects us and stuff like that. But sometimes these things are so strong, it can affect the satellites out in space, all kinds of crazy stuff. Doc Chuck, Little Chuck is in the house. All right, Doughboy, you have yourself a good one, right? He said, thanks for tonight, Chris and group. Time to look inside my eyelids. See you all next week. All right, man. Have yourself a good one there, right? Thanks for stopping in. Exactly. You wouldn't want your ship to black out in the middle of space with no oxygen tanks giving you air. Yeah, that would be a real bad day. Yeah, exactly. Um, Yeah, I mean, I guess if you just have tanks that are regulated, Rachel, you can be fine. Kind of like a scuba diver, right? Of course, they have like a mixture of gas and oxygen. But the thing is, if you have it like regulated to give out, then it's really not a machine giving it out, unless of course they figure out a way to actually produce oxygen, which is kind of hard to do. Well, at least out in space. But you know what I'm saying, right? It's kind of like if it's just given off regulated, and it's just a tank with air. That's one thing, meaning a very large tank. But if you got any kind of electric system doing that, yeah, you're done. Um, it's just crazy. But like I said, guys, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did make the third video for the week. It's the moon one. It's on my Lunar Anomalies and Beyond page. If you haven't, go on there, jump on over there, check it out. Like I said, the newest video out. I got probably about two Mars coming out just in beginning of this week. So guys, stay tuned for that as well. Let's see, and I've got a couple other moons coming out as well. So we're going to be all over these anyway, both of them. So you guys will have plenty to watch. And but like I said, definitely check out. We're still trying to build that other channel, Lunar Anomalies and Beyond. A lot of you guys haven't jumped over yet. I mean, I think we got like, I forget what it was, 54,000 subscribers. We got like, trying to remember, it was like 1,400 over there, 1,800. I forget what it is now. Um, but yeah, so it's building. It's definitely going up, right? But get a whole lot more of yous on there, and be a awesome channel, right? I mean, this one's already an awesome channel. Why not have that one too? Um, Lightning Watcher says, I have a cool NASA video I done way back showing a NASA photo, by the way, pipes in what looks like a factory. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Some of you guys have actually, like, I showed like the larger objects and just crazy stuff, right? And then when you look in between all of these things, like I said, if you take your magnifier, try not to zoom in too much because everything just breaks apart, looks like trash. So try not to do that. And you don't want to get into like, artifacts of the photo and stuff. You don't want to get into that. You just want to just be able to just click on or just have it. That's why you'll see me like zoom in and then come back out. Gives you guys a chance to pause it, check it out with your eyepieces or whatever, because some of you guys are on your phones, your tablets, or whatever. Some of you are on a lot bigger computers or giant TVs or whatever, 4K televisions, so forth, and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, check it out with your magnifiers and just look at it. It's crazy. Stuff is awesome. And when you see what's in between, it's not just the big objects, what's in between as well. Well, I appreciate it. SE, you said you'll sub there now. Well, yeah, jump on over there, check it out. And Pashon, you said the newest video is great. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that photo, man. It's just crazy what we can find in there. So yeah, definitely check out the new channel, subscribe to it, and like I said, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you'll be alerted to any new videos coming out. But of course, you said, Rachel, but of course you would need an advanced machine to turn it into oxygen. Exactly. So that's what you mean by, obviously you need to have it protected from EMPs because yeah, you're pretty right. Libby, thank you. He said, thanks, Chris. Great hangout tonight. Well, you guys are awesome. That's what makes a great hangout. Good people. I mean, you get your little trolls here and there, which is, I think we have a fun time with them. Just like, oh, another one. Okay, see ya. So it kind of keeps us entertained, keeps us on our toes. So I don't care. I think laughable, but it's funny at the same time. 321 Catbox, New York City. How is heat transferred in space without atmosphere? Well, it depends on what you mean. If you're talking about, you can still heat up molecules on something. It's kind of like if you read about how the Apollo missions, when they had the module, literally while it was going back and forth from the moon to Earth or vice versa, they literally were turning it almost like a rotisserie. They didn't want it to sit there on one area because it would literally heat up the craft. It doesn't have to heat up the air because there is none. So it doesn't have to heat up anything, any kind of oxygen because again, it's a void, right? But it's still actually heating up a surface. It can still heat up the molecules in that surface. So you still have to do that. You still have to down. That's why they kept, just rotating as they were, flying towards it or to or from, So yeah. Pat Jones, I see a video of a flyover of the moon once, and you could see gas venting surface, but I cannot find the video now. I think I've heard of that, Rachel, but I haven't seen it. Oh, you said Washington State, I guess it is 321. But anyway, Rachel, you said the Black Knight satellite was seen around our sun. Someone has photos of its shape. Oh yeah, I'm not even surprised because they said that at first they said it was just strictly around Earth, but now every now and then they said it's like either it moves over to the sun or whatever. I don't know. I haven't really been keeping tabs on it, of course, but I have done a video on the Black Knight if it's real or not, and I've done a pretty good in-depth video on that Black Knight. It's pretty cool. Radiation from the sun, absolutely. Oh, lucky moly, said Chris. When you can, when you can, some of us get together in West Virginia for a meeting. To my treat. Do you give lectures at conferences? No, actually, I don't. The only place I've really been down to is like I've been down to Alabama. They had the Mars conference. Been down there. But you know, as a rule, I don't. Only it's not because I don't want to. It's just I haven't really had the time. And because, like I said, you know, working a lot and stuff like that, it's hard to actually get to these places. But yeah, I mean, that may be in the works, man. You know, I don't know how far you are, but from WV, but it'd be interesting to actually have like a bunch of people just get together and um, just have just talk about it. Because I mean, it's good to be with like-minded people that actually think the same way everybody else does in the group. It's cool to be able to do that. Yeah, see, here we're talking about Rachel. You said, okay, you type black light. Yeah, I know what you meant. That's why I said black night. That was just a trip of the finger, I guess. But guys, I'm going to jump off of this. I'm going to get out of here. You guys are awesome as always. Thank you very much for being here. As always, I enjoy Sunday evenings. And of course, it's nighttime and early day Mondays for you guys. So I'm glad you guys still get in there because I know you don't have to. I mean, you want to be able to get to your job the next day. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys being here. It's always a pleasure being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all the support you guys have given. And that's what it's all about, right? So Renee. No conferences, TV show for Chris. Yeah, let's go straight for the TV show. That'd be awesome. Um, Paul, didn't even see you jump in there, Paul Bland. So I'm saying these things been like Daniel, yeah. He said, I hate that I missed it. Really look forward to them. Yeah, I mean, you just got to jump in there a little sooner. And I know because we just had our time change, so it kind of messes with people here and there, especially the people out of the United States because they're like, what time do they fall back? And then so it's kind of hard, but anybody else is in the United States knows that. I mean, I think there's a couple of states that don't even acknowledge that. They don't even care. But anyway. All right, all you guys and ladies, you guys have yourselves a good night, good week coming up. Always appreciate you. You guys know that. You guys all be safe, and we'll see you next Sunday as well as during the week. Keep your eyes open for the next couple Mars videos. They probably won't be even that long because what I got to show you is like, boom, there's not a whole lot you got to do to the photo to see it. And kind of stands out from the rest of the surroundings. So check it out. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, like I said, and thanks for being here. Again, the support is awesome. You guys are great. Great community. Even though we had a couple of little bumps and these people that come in here, little trolls, I think they're cute. I think it's funny. But you guys have a good one. They can't break up a good community, that's for sure. They can try, but that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? I think it gives me entertainment. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, guys, I'm going to jump on out of here. You guys all have a good one. We'll see you soon.